Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Let me have a sip of my Kool-Aid here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. I need to switch it into my other hand. Let me get it into my left hand there.
Oh, man, what's that on the back of your cup, dog?
Yeah.
Is there bourbon in here?
I'm wasted
Jason's
already.
wife made these for us.
This is nice. Shout out to her, man.
Thank
This
you.
is beautiful,
So
man.
the funny thing is, she texted real quick. I know we got a ton of Browns. She texted me yesterday, and she said, "Hey, find out whoever's right-handed, left-handed." I didn't know she meant right away. I was going to ask you all today, and this morning I'm getting ready to leave, and she's making all these mugs, and she goes, "Well, I just made them all right-handed because you couldn't bother to ask in the chat that you're in all the time who's right-handed and who's left-handed." I'm like, "Well, I didn't know that you needed it right now." So Bull is left-handed. Sorry about that, buddy.
That's all right. It's fine.
If any of us were left-handed, it would be Bull.
Right, 13%
That's right.
of the population.
I think it's less. I think it's 11 or 9.
Wow. My heart rate is just now settling back down to resting after yesterday's football game. They're the cardiac kids. There's no other way to carve it up. I mean, I know it's been used before. You have to go all the way back to the late 70s.
Thank you. There it is.
That's what this team. Oh, there's the Kool-Aid. Now the show can
There's
begin.
the Kool-Aid.
Thank you, Anthony. What a win. Shotgun reactions. Who goes for go? Whoever wants to
Go ahead,
take it.
G.
Man, listen, I'm going to tell you what, man. You know, when I came up with the Kool-Aid Mafia, man, this is not no regular just thing, man. When they told me, I said 6-0, they said, man, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. And I said, listen, we need to come up with something. But when you come up with something, you got to believe in it. And drinking the Kool-Aid really doesn't necessarily mean that you're just going to be out here just jumping off the roof, but you believe in things that aren't yet seen. Sometimes you got to put your feet and flag down and believe in something that you don't quite see yet. And so when I watch the Cleveland Browns and you wear these shirts, and everybody out there that's wearing these shirts, you get to a point and we watch those football games, and then it's just like the thing just starts pounding in your heart. And when you're ready to give up in the third quarter, you say, nah, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid now. We done already came this far. We ain't turning back. And the great thing about the Cleveland Browns is I'm so happy with them because they have really showed the world that football is a more in-depth sport than what we really mean on the surface level. It's just not about your quarterback and how much money he makes and can he be a franchise quarterback. It's the small little things. It's the Dustin Hopkins of the world that kick field goals and you got confidence in them. It's the Cameron Mitchell's tackling somebody by a fingertip and not let them get in 4th and 1. It's JOK blitzing, hitting guys. It's guys playing their first games they've ever played, and they come in and you know what they do? Instead of saying I'm a rookie, they get that Gatorade bottle and they drink that Kool-Aid. And then they believe that they can make the plays and step in for the other guys. To me, I love it so much because this year has told us that football is a team game. Football is a game that you have to have passion and emotion to play it, not just analytics and figuring out who has the most stats. People count, you matter, and Kool-Aid is ready to drink.
Like a you matter drop in there.
Boom! That was crazy.
Only G. Bush, the marketing wizard, can flip a Browns victory into how good this is promotionally. Yes. Like, this is a promotional.
This is beautiful.
This is a dream.
Marketing genius.
You got to believe in it, Jay.
Jason, you were there, right?
Yeah, I was there. And, I wrote this morning about, we talk about just the next man up. And no one actually believes that, though, right? Like, coaches say it. Guys go down. Coaches get on the podium and say, well, it's next man up. And everyone's like, yeah, right. Okay. Well, no, the season's over. And yet we've got to the point with this Browns season where I look at it like it really doesn't matter who goes down next because you just have a feeling that they're going to figure out a way. So I talked to guys the unknown guys yesterday, the anonymous guys. Jaron Christian, he was at a Halloween party out of the NFL. He was at a Halloween party with his family, and his agent called him and said, you got to get on a flight to Cleveland. 9 hours later, he's on a flight to Cleveland. A week later, he's a starting left tackle. DeAnthony Bell couldn't even afford to go to college. He went to 4 different colleges. Undrafted free agent safety last year, was out of football entirely because he didn't have a scholarship and he couldn't afford a tuition. So he was working a construction job in 2017, carrying around rocks. Now he's making the interception in the end zone to save the game and continue this crazy playoff march on. Michael Dunn was a surprise cut at the end of training camp. He thought he was in good shape. No, they cut him because it's a manipulation of the roster and salary and everything else. They put him on practice squad and told him, just be patient, you're going to help us. And sure enough, Bitonio goes down yesterday, and there's Michael Dunn filling in at left guard. He got a couple of holding calls, but he also threw the big block on the play that sprung Marquise Goodwin. He was the pulling guard helping on the blitzing end. And then there's Marquise Goodwin, who ever thought he'd even still be playing football right now? Yeah. He had blood clots. I thought his career was over. He was out 6 weeks, and he's back. He had the nasty concussion, returns, and he came in the game yesterday. I told Zach Jackson, here's Marquise, like they need something. They were at the point in the game you needed some sort of big play to get this thing moving. 57-yard reception down the seam that really I thought was the play that flipped the whole thing. I thought that's really what allowed Joe Flacco to really sort of catch momentum, catch a rhythm, and then they took off from there. And it just goes on and on from there. We talk about Cam Mitchell, 5th-round pick. Nothing expected of these guys. Ronnie Hickman, undrafted free agent. Nothing's expected of him. And there's the starting safeties now on this team. And the train just keeps moving. The band keeps playing. It's been incredible to see. I really enjoyed yesterday just spending a few minutes with each of these unknown guys that came out of nowhere and are now playing huge roles on this team that is 9-5 and sprinting toward the playoffs.
And obviously the only guy you didn't mention there is Joe Flacco.
Because we know his
story. Who didn't
story.
come out of nowhere, but he came off the couch.
Came out of the retirement home.
And for the first 3 quarters of this game, it was like, oh, that's why he was on the couch, right?
He forgot to put his teeth in.
Yeah, he was pretty bad for much of the first 3 quarters. But like we've seen a number of times this year, when the defense kept the team in the game, what the defense did was magnificent. I mean, you talk about a secondary ravaged by injuries. Denzel Ward was back, but he wasn't right. Myles Garrett still not 100%. We know the hits they took on the D-line. And the defense was absolutely lights out in this game. And then when it mattered, after struggling for much of 3 quarters, Joe Flacco and the offensive line, which also was terrible for 3 quarters, even worse than Flacco was, the defensive line did their job. The offensive line did their job in the 4th quarter, and Joe Flacco did as well. And what's really funny is we're used to the same old Browns, right? When the Browns scored that touchdown with 32 seconds, scored the game-winning field goal with 32 seconds left, and we're in our chat group, and Jay's like, because Jay has been through more suffering as a Browns fan than anybody else.
Tissue.
Because he's the oldest of the bunch.
Yeah.
So Jay's like, I don't know, 32 seconds, Justin Fields got some magic. And I'm like, Jay, there's no timeouts. It's okay. And it was almost another same old Browns moment, except it's not the same old Browns anymore, Jay. It's the new Browns who find a way to make the field goal when they need it, who find a way for the other team to miss the field goal. And in this case, the Hail Mary that almost gave us all a heart attack, it was caught. I mean, it was in his belly.
It was a game-winning throw.
Yes. And it popped out. And then DeAnthony Bell grabs it. I'm like, get it down! Get it down!
I know.
What's he doing?
I thought he was going to try to return it, and I already saw the fumble,
Yes.
the scoop, and the score.
Down!
That's what I'm all about.
TV.
I was doing. Well, and you know what? He smartly brought it out 1 yard and went down.
That was it.
Over.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
You're right. I sent the text. Guys, Fields can be tricky here. He's really good for those situations. He was at Ohio State. He is in this spot too. It's funny. You kind of went where I was going to go. As I'm watching the game last night, I'm sitting there. I want to build my opening statement on a word that sums up the season. And I came up with 50 words, all single words. But this is what I've boiled it down to: pivot. And if you think about it, in the micro and of yesterday and in the macro of the season, that's what this team has been able to do time and time and time again. Pivot. They're dealt a blow at quarterback. Pivot to this guy. Dealt another blow at quarterback. Pivot. Another blow at quarterback. Pivot. 80% of our offensive line is now in the training room.
Yeah.
Pivot. Our kicker sucks before the season. Pivot. One of the things that I really want to emphasize in this whole mantra of pivot, The run game, which was at one point this year, definitely a workable run game, for whatever reason, whether it's you're down 4 of your 5 linemen, I don't know. For whatever reason, the run game has completely evaporated. Here's what I love about what they did yesterday. Okay, so what happens when there's no threat of running the football? You're basically keeping your eyes on the short intermediate routes, because that's what, really, if you look at it, that's what Flacco was doing. Mm-hmm. They pivoted in real time in the game to finally take the deep shot with the 2 guys that we know can complete the deep shot. We saw a couple shots with Goodwin early on. Deshaun Watson was woefully off in all of his deep throws to Goodwin. For the last 2 weeks, I've been thinking in my head, Flacco, Goodwin, Flacco, Goodwin. Flacco throws the deep ball. Goodwin gets past defenses. Why aren't we seeing Flacco to Goodwin? Run game was gone, pivot. We haven't been deep all year. We haven't been that team. Run your 9, go. And you mentioned the block that gave Flacco just enough time. That's we're going to talk about this later in the show. Which of the offensive tandem relationship are you most looking forward to the rest of the way? For me, I'll give away my answer now. It's that one. We can hit that ball on just about any team. The Flacco to Goodwin thing is going to become a thing here in the last couple of games. That's my hope. But my word for the day is pivot. After every curveball that's been thrown their way, they somehow find a way to pivot and make it work. And I also think that there's irony right now. Their record is 9-5. Once upon a time, there was a movie called 9 to 5.
Working
printed the same way.
5. What a way to make a living.
And here they are.
Dolly Parton.
This team is blue collar.
Yep.
They work. They don't care who gets the credit. On defense, we saw a game-saving play 3 times by guys you wouldn't pen in before the game started as guys that were going to make that game-saving play.
Yeah.
But when the moment called for it, the second or the third string, the substitution, the guy that when we broke camp, we never thought would be a game difference playmaker, made plays yesterday. There's something special going on. I looked back at the Hail Mary 10 times. It wasn't until the 9th time that I saw it, and then I had to watch it again a 10th time. If you look really carefully on that play, you see a hand coming out of nowhere with a 32 tattoo on the back of the palm, and he knocks the ball out of the receiver's hands. It's the work of Jim Brown, guys. It's the only way I can explain it. There's a lot of funky things going on right now.
Did you just get paranormal?
I went super paranormal because I'm not a paranormal guy. But I think I saw Jim Brown on that last play.
I was like, wow.
And he was the ghost that knocked the... How did that guy not catch the ball?
I think he was startled by it. I truly think he was startled by it because he was laying there and it's on his chest.
Right
and then he kicked it.
Right there.
Not only did he drop, he kicked it.
Kicked it up.
He
Or did
kicked
Jim
it.
Brown flinch that leg muscle and knock that ball out?
Well, you said pivot so much, we got to go find the Ross clip from Friends. You guys watch the couch? Pivot! Pivot!
That's exactly what I feel like right now.
Hey, if you want to get more, oddly enough, when I was driving home from the show on Friday, I put on Howard Stern, and he's doing like best of all time.
Yeah.
And who was he interviewing on his show when I turned it on?
Jim
for
Brown.
him? Jim Brown.
I'm telling you, it's...
Look at this.
It's a fait accompli. Now, you said something that I want to touch on quickly before we dive into our Joe Flacco grade and all that. You mentioned that it doesn't matter with the injuries. And you had said earlier this week, doesn't matter. Keep bringing them.
Early in the game, it felt like it did.
I do think there is a tipping point. And honestly, to me, I thought that the Posick injury was the tipping point. That takes your line to 80% back up.
No, not Petonio, you mean? Posick
I'm sorry, Petonio.
Yeah,
Petonio went out during the game with the back. You're right. To me, it felt like, okay, like this is enough already. Someone's laughing at this, but it's not funny. When you have 4 of your starting 5 offensive linemen that are either on IR or out for the game, it did to me feel like we're one-dimensional. We're one-dimensional. We cannot run the football. You cannot win a game when you're one-dimensional. And then Flacco put on the cape and he made it work. All that being said, we cannot go. At some point, this magic carpet ride ends because of injuries, in my view. We've got to get these guys healthy. You've got 3 weeks to do it. I feel very secure now that they're going to have one of the playoff spots.
Oh, yeah.
I feel very comfortable in that now. But to me, the goal is, at any and all cost, get these players back. And if they're healthy for week 19, who gives a damn what happened the first 18? It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
You go ahead.
Well, the complication with the linemen is the fact that how many times have we seen them run heavy jumbo sets with extra linemen? You can't do that now. That's a big part of what they're doing. And Michael Dunn is that extra guy. Nick Harris, those are your two extra guys when you go heavy. Well, now Nick's your center and Dunn's your left guard. Hopefully, I saw Joel in the locker room briefly, but I was busy talking to all those other guys I was telling you about, so I didn't get over to him. He was not moving well after the game. He was moving very slowly. But Kevin said he tweaked it in pregame. I can't imagine it's anything terribly serious. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll wait and see how it goes. I'm not making any predictions on Monday as to his availability for next week. But that's the crippling part. Like, Michael Dunn has played a lot of snaps in the NFL. Nick Harris he was the Browns starting center until he got hurt on the second play of the Jacksonville preseason game. So these and James Hudson, we can get into Hudson.
Yeah, he's bad.
We will.
We're gonna get into.
He's
Hudson.
a swinging gate at right tackle. But in the run game, everyone keeps telling me he's the best run blocker they have at tackle. He's better than Conklin. In terms of run blocking, it's pass blocking is where the deficiency is.
Run blocking, though, more than anything. Like, you got to work together it's an orchestra. And they're abysmal. They're like wet tissue paper at the line when they try to run the ball.
I did think Ford was part of the problem yesterday. I haven't blamed him much to this point, but anyway,
it's really hard to judge him when first contact is constantly being made behind the line of scrimmage.
No, he missed some things that were there yesterday.
He did.
I didn't see it.
There was one in particular.
Running very tentatively.
There was one in particular where I told Zach Jackson, my partner at The Athletic, Jerome went this way, and if he would have just waited a second and cut, there was a lane for him to cut back, and he just didn't see it.
You know,
there was a couple plays.
Guys, they don't think like we think. I can guarantee there's nobody in that locker room that's talking about anything about injuries. They literally,
you're right.
They literally don't care about that.
Yeah, you're right.
And Myles Garrett in the defense is saying, who cares what they have on offense?
But it is there in the back of their minds. I mean, they know who's out there.
No, you have to be irrational. They are when you lose your quarterback, when Chubb went down and Deshaun Watson was gone for the year, they're irrational at this point. You cannot think that anything is going to be bad because guess what? You can control what you can control. And Myles Garrett in the defense. Go look at the way they perform. They basically said it don't matter if you got us up there. We not letting them score, and that is infectious. And the thing that is more infectious is this. When you got a defense and a quarterback who's been there before, Myles Garrett said it. He said, look, Joe been there. We don't care if we throw 5 interceptions. Who cares? We know he can get back up here and lead us to a victory.
That's true.
Those are the two irrational things that are leading the Browns right now.
Well, now it becomes rational because they proved it. They proved they can do it.
And they just
the best part was the guy that dug the hole got them out of the hole.
And they just wait for us to just go ahead and say, okay, we believe now.
We got to go to Earl.
Time for a read, right?
Yep.
What's up?
Earl's in for Mikey, by the way. Our first hello and good morning of the day to Earl.
Yeah, Mike is in Jersey. So I told y'all can go crazy. I'm not going to give you many instructions, but before we do the first read, I do have one instruction. Me, Steve, and Anthony, we decided on this. It's Victory Monday.
Yeah.
We bark in the dog pound. So on the count of 3, I need a Victory Monday bark from everybody that's in this studio.
Oh, that works.
There it is.
1, 2, 3.
Jason's not barking. Jason is not barking.
He can't.
I'm not barking.
I barked.
He's a beat writer. He can't.
Smoker's cough.
Yeah.
Why
I don't
call,
smoke.
by the way,
Yeah, I don't smoke. Right.
Jay knows what becomes of that. That's a meme.
Yep.
And with that, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get into the action than right now. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Got a big winning ticket?
No, we don't. They usually send them to Mike. They didn't send it to him. But we got a big winning quarterback. Wacko for Flacco is still alive, man. 2-0. Jay, take it from here.
No, wait. First of all, what's still alive is your irrational sitting here one day for G. Bush.
Yeah.
Like, he saw you Kool-Aid and raised you a pound of sugar with the Kool-Aid. He sat here and said, they're going to go 5-0. They're going to run the table.
I think he said there was an 80% chance.
And we laughed. We giggled.
Why would you do that?
We tried to get him to say he would shave his head if they didn't.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't go that far. He loves
No,
his
we're just
hair.
going to give some memberships.
But, guys, the way you think about it, like, it's right there in front of them. All these are winnable, and we'll talk about that a lot as we move forward. But first, Joe Flacco, 374. I haven't seen numbers like that next to a Browns quarterback name in a very long time. In the last 2 games, he has done something that no Browns quarterback since Brian Sipe has done. Yes, that includes Bernie Kosar. That's nuts.
Well, and he most passing yards first 3 games of a Browns career in the history of the franchise.
Ever.
And again, he did most of it in the 40th for 200 yards in the fourth quarter.
Had to.
221, I think, in the fourth.
They scored 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Basically, the Browns had 1 drive in the first 3 quarters that was good. The 1 touchdown drive was a good drive.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything until about 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, besides that 1 drive. But when it mattered, in those 12 minutes, he and they were magnificent. He was great. Njoku was great. Cooper got good when we talked about it all. But Joe Flacco, after making some mistakes early, and it was probably Tillman's fault, that first interception. He probably ran, more likely that he ran the wrong route than Flacco had the wrong read, but you never know. But in the end, when it mattered, he was brilliant in those final 12 minutes. Yeah. So, I don't know, for the first 3 quarters, he got a D, and then, a D. And then the fourth quarter gets an A++++. So I don't know.
What is your final grade? You know what it is? It's like the guy that, in school, there are 4 grading periods.
Yeah.
You have 4 9-week periods. And you're right. D, D, D.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and gets not just an A, but like 100% A.
Right.
So
it's hard.
What do we average that out to?
I guess in the end, what he did overweighs the D for most of the game. So I'll give him an A-, I guess.
I'll give him an A.
A- too.
Yeah.
He had more. I just looked it up. You sparked me to look something up. He had more passing yards in the fourth quarter than the Browns have had in 9 games this year.
Oh my God.
He had more yards in the fourth quarter than
crazy.
they've had in 9 games.
So what are you giving him?
A.
A?
You already know. Why would you even ask me that?
A++.
Like, let me tell you this. I'm just sitting here because I said the first time he threw for 3, I said 303 touchdowns. Joe Flacco delivered. I texted him after the show in my mind, and he said, "You're right, G. Bush."
Dear Joe.
Dear Joe, here's how it's going to go.
Wonderful game. I love you, G. Bush.
I came back, and I doubled down. Like I had 2. I split the aces. I doubled down. And said he's going to throw for 300 again. It was looking shaky. He was getting D's all the way through. He could have threw 10 interceptions in 1 quarter. 1 drive, the ball just went right through somebody's body like it was
incredible.
a glitch in Madden.
The one comment that was made during the broadcast was when Sanchez said, "It's like the glitch in the Madden game," which we all know exactly what he was talking about.
That was the only good thing, because otherwise
he
was a disaster.
My ears were bleeding. But that made me laugh out loud.
Why can he not say Koromoa?
I don't know.
It's
His play-by-play guy says it right. He says it wrong every time.
JOK.
And then at one point he called Batonio Harrison Bryant or vice versa. I don't know what the hell.
But the most impressive throw, the most impressive throw. This is why it's levels. When people are saying that, we owe him an apology. It's a lot of y'all out there. It's ageism. Listen, it's messed up. We're not talking about the age of Joe Biden here. I'm sorry. You can't say that, Garrett. That's why they don't like you. We're talking about my man Joe Flacco. He's 39, 40.
38.
Whatever the case it is, he threw that ball to Amari Cooper in between a Bermuda triangle of defenders.
It was like 3 converging forces.
It was like, and he threw his sidearm, and then it curved. It looked like a slider, and then it dropped right over the outside plate. And then the catcher couldn't even frame it. Amari Cooper catches it and goes to the house. I never seen nothing like that. I said, listen, this is spectacular. Of course he gets an A. He could have had an F the first 3 games or first 3 quarters of the game. But when it counted, he was light. It was almost like the ghost of Deshaun Watson against Baltimore. I'm like, he's just going to go perfect? He's just perfect?
Looked it.
Remember Mikey's question on Friday, what's more likely, Flacco for 350 or Fields for 225. I'm like, well, ain't neither one of those things happened.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I took Flacco, so I got it right. But like, never in a million years did I think that would actually happen.
Especially it's after 3 quarters.
No defensive touchdown. Cedric Tillman almost had a touchdown. Got tackled at the 1.
No, he did.
By the way, on that,
I thought he was going to get in, too.
I did too. By the way, on that touchdown with Amari Cooper, not only was it a great throw by Flacco, but like Cooper, a couple times I was like, oh no, he's going to fall out of bounds. He looked like he was losing his balance a little bit.
He did a great job tight roping.
Yep.
You're right. That ball had some sort of 2-seam run on it. I don't know how he fit it through that window.
No clue.
If you go back and look at what he saw when he released it, it's an unbelievable. Like, if you haven't done it yet, take the time to go look at it's out there of what he was seeing when he actually released the ball and where he put it. Because when he in the press box, I thought, it's picked. That's getting picked.
Now, if he had that same throw to make 100 times, he may only make it once. The degree of difficulty on that throw, I was hoping they would show the stat that shows the catch probability. I think the catch probability was less than 1%. It was just so much going on. There was so much movement. And the fact that he hit his moving target while evading 3 guys that were all sort of converging from different angles.
Yeah.
But here's what I love about Joe Flacco and what we're currently experiencing. When his college coach was on, and he talked about when he knew Flacco was special, what he said was supremely confident. Supremely confident. How in the world he throws 3 picks, but in the game's biggest moment has the onions to even let that ball go?
Yep.
The only thing that explains it is what his college coach said. Supreme confidence.
Shoot or shoot, man.
Wow.
Shoot or shoot.
You could miss 20 in a row. You're convinced that next one's going in.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Can we see that again?
That's
Guys,
crazy.
can you run that one more time?
Now, I don't know if this is a new route, if this is a Flacco type route, because I've never seen a route like this before.
Look at this.
That's
Look at how
you know what I
he
mean?
Oh, he's going to fall out.
Hey,
He's gonna fall out.
say that again, Jason.
Because I wanted
Facts.
to check on this, and I haven't had
Facts.
time. That looks like a new route to me. I haven't seen that route before.
That's a
Like,
good point.
a lot of times with these route trees, you see them,
yeah.
and they might mix a different route tree with a different protection or whatever, but a lot of them look the same.
I mean,
I've never seen that before.
That throw is
And
ridiculous.
Jay mentioned another route where they kind of did the misdirection. They had
They had
Cedric
Cooper
Tillman.
on a comebacker
Yep,
on the good one deep ball.
And then you had the Cedric Tillman on the goal line where he almost scored.
That's right.
That was a completely different action that got him open as well.
We've heard Joe and Kevin both say, look, as the weeks go on, we're going to build on this playbook. The bottom base of the pyramid is there. Now you're just going to keep adding layers and layers and layers until you get to the top. You're right. I don't remember seeing that particular route because that's not what he typically does. He usually stays on the same side that he starts.
We don't need to go down this road. PJ Walker can't make that throw.
No, and that's probably why it wasn't in the playbook. Well, I'm not sure.
DTR can't make that throw. Deshaun can make that throw.
He has made that throw. We haven't seen him do it in a while.
But DTR and PJ can't make that throw.
No chance. No chance.
So it's amazing to me as you're watching this thing unfold in real time. He might be one of the biggest bet on yourself athletes we've ever seen. When you go back to the Super Bowl and the fact that he had a pile of money on the table and everybody in football said, Joe, what are you doing? Joe, under his breath, said, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe in this defense and what I can do. He rolled the dice. He kept rolling. He kept rolling. He kept winning. And he won the Super Bowl. And he got the bag. Now, in the second carnation of not even the second, the fourth carnation of his career, he again, all of these incentives, if you win, you get this. If you win, you get this. That's a perfect structure for Joe Flacco. He's got to love that because he believes he can win in any scenario.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, when you talk about the supreme confidence of Flacco, I think when you marry that with the supreme confidence of Kevin, this is what you see. Because Stefanski's the exact same way. We'll get into Kevin a little bit later. But it's that supreme confidence and that even keel that I've talked about for years on the show. No matter if it's high or low, he's always right here, and that's what this organization needs. Well, Joe's the same way. It doesn't matter about the picks or whatever. He's always going to be here. There's always this belief that they're going to find a way, and you're seeing what happens when you marry that now between the quarterback and the head coach. You got 52 other guys in that locker room that absolutely believe.
I don't know if it was G that said it or Jason. I can't remember now. Like, how do you have – one of you guys said, how do you have the confidence to make that throw after you've thrown so many picks in a game? I think you said it, G, right? Yeah, and I'm just like – what's great about this team, what makes this team fun to watch is to some degree it feels like they're playing with house money this year because you're right, the team doesn't feel that way, but from an outside perspective, it's like this is crazy the amount of injuries
25% of their salary cap
right.
is out.
Yep. However the season ends up, it's been so much fun to watch. Now, whether they lose in the first round of the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl, obviously you want the latter, but it's been so much fun to watch. And in a way, I think Joe Flacco's playing the same way. I don't think he's feeling any pressure right now. He's playing loose. He's playing free. He's like, hey, and the reason he throws picks is because he makes throws like that. And you're going to miss some of those, and you're going to throw a pick, but it's not going to stop him. He's like, next time I'll hit it.
The good outweighs the bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And yesterday, even though there were 3 glaring bads, when he had to be great, and again, that's betting on yourself. When he had to be great, this guy has ice water. Joe Cool.
I don't want to be prisoner of the moment because I try really hard to never be that guy, but it feels like he never really got the proper credit in Baltimore. Is that fair? Like, he won a Super Bowl MVP, but no one ever looked at him as elite, right? Like,
it was always
because he wasn't.
16,
But in fairness,
he
he wasn't consistently great.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but it feels like here, this moment that nobody saw coming.
Right.
He's now getting like all the credit and praise that he never got. I'm not saying, I want to be careful. I'm not saying no one ever appreciated him, but it just felt like he was always the but guy. You know, and he's got that, but yeah, he's okay.
Is so great.
When you got Ray Lewis, it sucks up a lot of oxygen.
Yes, and now all of a sudden, he put his teeth in, came out of the retirement home, picked up his club on the 18th fairway, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this guy's unbelievable!" And it feels like he's finally getting maybe some of the due
How old are
that.
you?
47.
How dare you make a joke about 38, no teeth? How dare you? Did you put your teeth in this morning?
I did.
I will tell you this. This is breaking news here. Get your popcorn. We'll talk about the running game later on in the show. But I said it in the chat. I said I would not be surprised, and I said it last week, that if the Browns throw the ball 100 times. And I said I'm not going to kill them for it. I also said,
they're a passing football
but you
team
can't,
right
at
now.
this point, you can't run.
And for me,
Yeah.
I'm all for the gadgets too, because they got to win with little smoke and mirrors. So
I like that play where Hunt took the snap, pitched to Flacco. Flacco back to
whatever they got.
Loved it.
And it worked.
Whatever they got, they're gonna have to play that way. I've pivoted in the word of the
There
day.
you go.
And look, I think that the best way that the Browns can win football games, Joe Flacco has cemented that. Can you win football games with him throwing the ball that much? Yes, but there is some collateral damage to that. He may throw some picks. We're going to get some sacks somewhere. But for the Cleveland Browns moving forward, this team is laying and depending on the right arm of Joe Flacco.
No doubt.
You may think it's crazy, but that's the best way.
No,
that's the plan of action.
as you're ranking your assets, he clearly is at the top.
Oh, yeah.
However, and I think you guys will agree with me on this, you can't win in the playoffs with a run game that averages 1.6. You can't.
Probably not.
I mean, you might
win
opponent,
one game.
You might beat 2 opponents, but at some point, you're going to hit a defense that is begging you to be one-dimensional.
Right.
And you're going to play right into their hands.
Yeah, you're going to have to run
Somehow.
some.
They've got, I don't know. What do they do to
better.
figure this out? I mean, you said in the chat, I think, how have we not called Collins? Hopefully they're doing that right now.
I would love to. They need to bring in a veteran, I think.
God.
They need. I'd bring in multiple veterans. But teams seem hesitant to do that this late in the year. I don't know what it is.
But it's like this late in a poker game.
Yeah.
When you've got a lot of chips in the table and you still like your hand, and I think they do. You don't pull chips out.
No.
You put chips in. And if putting chips in means going to get 2 veteran offensive linemen, hoping one of them hits, your team is better for it.
And we'll see what happens with Bitonio, Pocic, Teller. Those guys.
What's Posix for next week? Do we think he'll be back?
Shoulders. I mean, ask Maurice Claret about shoulder stingers. It screwed up his entire freshman season at Ohio State. Yeah. He was. I mean, it's a different position, but
I think that one's hard to tell.
It is.
You never know when
it takes one hit on it, one bad hit.
What about the other guys? Who on the line can we hope? We know that Jones is out. We know that Wills is out. So that gets your wings out.
You got
we don't know about Bitonio's back. We don't know about Postic's shoulder.
Like I said, Joel was not moving well in the locker room.
They got to add some other guys, I would think. But guys, we got to get to this defense.
Yeah, it is time to talk about defense. We have to do a read first, but then we'll get to the defense. Wow.
Hey, real quick, before we get to the read or the defense, you talked about the ghost of Jim Brown. We got something special. I believe this came from Creative Juice. You all are going to love it. Let Anthony get this together real quick.
Creative Juice, man. That guy's good. We met him the other day.
Check this out.
That's funny.
Not today, young blood.
That's dope.
Did
That's
he
crazy.
do that before my rant or after?
I think he did it during your rant. He was watching the show on his computer.
That
and he
is
was
good.
Being
Oh my
creative.
God.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Let's send that viral. Because
That's
I
pretty good.
don't know how you explain it, but that's really, really good. That's his cane. And he's
Yep.
knocking.
Yep.
Wow. I don't know how the ball came out, but I'm just glad it did.
Speaking of the ball coming out, man, let's talk about this Cleveland Browns defense. But first, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers, they can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options that include spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
And the Browns opened as a 1.5-point dog in Houston, which
That shocked me.
I assume that means that he's going to be what's his name?
C.J. Stroud is
C.J.
playing.
Stroud's going to be back.
I mean,
But I was surprised. Now the Texans had a good win; they were down big also,
Yeah.
and they came back.
I thought that was going to. I thought it was going to be a tie.
I was hoping.
Because obviously at the game you kind of got eyes on everything,
Yeah.
and it was late in overtime. I thought, well, that's a tie,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the Texans, I guess, won on a last-second kick. I still don't
did.
know.
They did.
Yep.
They did.
Last second of the overtime.
Yeah.
Guys, I thought this defensive performance it just blew me away. It really did, because obviously they had some great defensive performances early in the season when everybody was healthy, but you lost a bunch of guys off your D-line this week. Clearly, even though Ward was playing and Myles Garrett were playing, neither one is 100%. Now, Myles is, he's continuing to progress, and he got close a bunch of times to sacks. But Denzel Ward, missed that tackle that he missed late in the game. If he were healthy, he makes that play.
I think he didn't stick his nose in there because he's
Yes,
not
I
healthy.
think
Exactly.
Who was the receiver? He split right between Ward
It
and
was some
Newsome.
guy I'd never heard of before
Was
the
it
game.
Mooney?
He ran
No,
right.
it was not Mooney.
It was a guy he was from Ohio. He played football.
I can't even think of his name. He had dropped the one before, the same guy, and then he caught that. But considering the injuries and the thinness of the defensive line, and the Bears were playing their best football coming into this game. We talked about their defense, which was impressive, but also their offense had been playing pretty well. They didn't run at all. They didn't run either. DJ Moore didn't do much in this game. Cole Kmet had a decent game, but Justin Fields did not kill him with their legs. And I thought, the defense really gave up 3 points.
Yep.
Because the Bears scored a pick six. Their
got
other
the ball for one.
touchdown was at the 1 yard line, which was the wildest possession.
Yeah.
I mean,
There was like 8 plays before they finally scored.
I think it was 9. I think it was on the ninth play.
In terms of lineups, I think it was 9.
I mean, it was crazy.
There were one after another, 3 straight plays. There was a penalty on the Browns.
Then there was a penalty on the Bears.
Then there was a penalty on the Bears. And
Yeah.
you thought they're going to keep them out of the end zone here.
That was crazy.
And they ended up scoring, but both of their touchdowns, one was the pick six.
Right.
The other one was
Got
a
him to
very,
the one.
very short field.
Yeah, it was the one.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
really, the defense gave
up
up
the
a field goal.
That's it. It was fantastic performance across the board.
I think it was the best. It was the best, I think. And the reason I say that is because with all the injuries
Yeah.
and everything that was at stake, and in the fourth quarter when they had to have 3 and outs and they had to have turnovers,
they
made
did it.
one play after another, and they were coming from all different corners.
236 yards allowed. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
And they were doing it one-on-one. Myles Garrett had a tackle for loss when they needed to stop. Alex Wright, they've been seeing all these guys running.
It's your guy. It's your guy. You called for him, and he made a huge play.
I called him out. I said, listen, and remember, we spent months, it seems like, after the Rams game talking about those jet sweeps and why does no one have an assignment football for that? Alex Wright makes that play.
He saw it coming.
He saw it coming, tackles him there. And so it just seems like when they scored that touchdown, the Browns defense was like, oh, let's put that cape on and be the Browns at home. When they're at home, it's different. Like, it's video game. It's like when you play Tecmo Bowl and somebody picked the same play as you. Jailbreak.
Home field is important to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know that a home field would benefit anybody more than it would the Browns.
I wouldn't
They
wanna
just
put
look like 2 different football teams
It's
this
2
year,
different
home
people.
and away.
Yeah. By the way, you talked about the Myles Garrett play real quick, because that was a huge impact play on that last Bears drive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or the second to last drive. To get that stop, where he was Khalil Herbert, I think, who ran. He on the first play. It was a
5-yard
5-yard
loss, right? Yeah,
loss.
that was
I mean,
big.
that was huge. That drive was sunk.
You automatically put them behind the sticks.
Right.
And that's when once they get off schedule, you've got them.
done.
Right.
Now you've got
that
them.
was a
And,
huge play.
I don't.
And JOK was just all
Is
over
he a
the
Pro
place.
Bowler, guys?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I said a
Yes.
couple days
Yeah.
ago. I think he's a Pro Bowler.
If you playing that well on the best defense in the league, you are a Pro
I
Bowler.
gotta believe he is.
And
I
Hopkins
think he
is a
is.
Pro Bowler too.
I mean,
Who?
I believe
yeah.
Hopkins is a Pro Bowler
Hopkins.
too.
Yeah, I do too.
they have a lot of guys that could be Pro Bowlers. I mean, certainly Myles
When do
Garrett.
that vote is usually the announcement's coming up.
I would, yeah.
Like week 15, I always thought.
Yeah.
Week 16,
It's-
maybe
yeah.
now.
I mean, you can make a case for. I think Martin Emerson's a Pro Bowler. I
Denzel
think
Ward.
JOK. Denzel's missed some time, but yeah, I mean, he's good enough to
When
be.
he's in there, he's been
Absolutely,
Been
Miles. Like off this defense, particularly, you should see a lot of guys. I think.
And
make
you
that
know
Pro
what? You
Bowl.
know what's the most impressive part about it is, Juan Thornhill was supposed to be a big part of what they do because of his leadership and him being Kansas City and just being back there as a calming factor, directing traffic. But I'm looking at Ronnie Hickman, undrafted guy. He played well. D'Anthony
plays.
Bell played his tail off. He made plays before the interception.
You're right.
And it's just like, and once again, Greg Newsome, I think you get the most, I won't say hate, we on you the most out of anybody. Because if we feel like he's the little brother. Like he's the little, when you
Well,
got
he's the guy the other team picks on. For
Emerson, Ward, and Dennis Newsome. We always got him there as the little brother, and we're looking at him like you could be doing this or you should do this. But I'm gonna tell you what, if you're gonna dance after every single play, so be it.
Yeah,
I got
like
no
that.
problem.
I like that.
I have a problem.
I love it.
I do, particularly when he did nothing to lead to the result.
Hey, I
there
like
was
that.
a time yesterday when he got burned, his guy was open, his guy just dropped the ball, and he's on the ground doing it. I'm like, come on, you didn't do anything.
I love it.
I
You
like
gotta
this.
do something
Love
to
it.
I
celebrate.
hear you. I have changed my tune on this. I used to be old and curmudgeonly on this. Now, if they're losing by, I saw somebody on the Chargers did that. Eckler did that on a first down. He signaled a first down when they're down like 40 points.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
That's okay.
It was only a 10-point game, and the defense was playing great. I don't have a problem with it.
My thing is, like, it sort of mutes everything else.
Yeah.
Save that for when you leave your feet, dive, and you knock the ball out of
I hear
right
ya.
here. Like when you
It's
make
pa-
a big play, but he did nothing on
I
that
just think
play,
it's part
but
of who
get
they
burned.
are. I think
and
it's
then he's
part
on
of
the
who they
ground
are.
rowing the boat.
Jim Schwartz says something. I said, somebody finally got it. He said he was out of football. He was walking around a little bit, going to different places. And he said, he realized that it's not all about just being in your gap and doing things like in drill sergeant.
Yeah.
He said, these guys have to want to enjoy the play for you. So he came up with a rule. He said, the only time I'm going to get mad at you is if you don't show enthusiasm. He said, I want every play you make. I need everybody doing their own dance, everybody doing their thing, because it's infectious. And that type of energy keeps you in a game when you're down 17-7.
The only complaint about the defense for me was how the hell do you get 2 12 men on the field penalties in that goal line situation? Well, I don't know what happened there. By the way, one other guy we left out of the Pro Bowl conversation, David
Njoku. I was thinking the same thing.
No, I thought we were doing
outside of Travis Kelce, who's better in the AFC right now? Evan Ingram, he's probably right there. Three tight ends from each conference.
David Njoku push record on the DVR.
Remember, the other good
bookmark this.
The other good tight ends, Hawkinson, Kittle, Laporta, all NFC. So I think you got Kelce, Njoku, and Ingram are your 3 AFC tight ends.
Look at that. Look at that. He does deserve that money.
He has earned his money.
Finally.
We've been waiting for it. He is really put it. He and Flacco have fantastic chemistry. I know we're getting more to that later.
We are going to talk about that later, but it's funny that the guys that we thought would be the 1 and 2 in terms of pass catching, they've emerged. I hate to keep saying this, but this looks like an NFL offense with a real pro-style NFL arm. It's not gimmicked. It's put your best wide receiver over here, let him run great routes, and let your quarterback throw darts in between defenders. This is what it's supposed to look like.
Yes.
You sat here for a year and a half and said, why is it when I watch other teams, some of the other top teams in the league, they're just throwing the ball all over the place, making it look easy.
Yeah.
Joe's kind of doing that right now.
Yeah,
He's really in the fourth quarter.
We look like a team. There's certain routes that you can go. I used to say this, man. If you having trouble with creativity, have your scouts and your little film people go tape the game for every game, right? And then just pick the top 5 plays you like and say I'm stealing those plays. I'm going to run those back next week. These are mine. I may put a little wrinkle on them. They're like, man, this playbook is so dynamic. I know because I stole it from the Chiefs last week. Then I got 3 from the Dolphins and 4 for the Cowboys. Look at my first 15. I'm dominant. Like, why is
not stealing any for the Cowboys yesterday?
Yeah,
wow.
And the Bills are a problem now.
You know what? More than any other year.
Yeah.
What a great year for the Browns to be in the conversation, because the Super Bowl, to me, is going to be wide open.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you have some,
especially in the AFC,
but the Ravens, who are sitting in the 1, lost to the Colts at home. The Colts have proven to be a really good football team, but the Ravens are beatable. And
they are.
The Niners in the NFC, we beat them. They went on a 3-game lose. This is a great year to be in that conversation.
It is. I do think the Ravens and the Niners deserve to be ahead of everybody else.
Slightly.
But they're neither is unbeatable. I think the Niners are head and shoulders the best team in
the Browns
football.
have beaten both.
Yep.
I hear you.
That's
but
crazy.
Right now,
in all likelihood, they're going to be the ones in both conferences.
Right now, the Niners look like the best team in football by a lot.
They do, especially with the Cowboys taking a major step back.
And your boy Brock Purdy is the favorite to win MVP now.
We've talked about this before. I'll quickly say it because then we're going to get it to a read for Earl. But I've been saying all along, someone better drive the death knell in these Bills. Somebody better
they're
do
a problem.
it.
Big problem
The
now.
Bills are going to be a problem.
They're
going to
make the playoffs.
I think they're going to make the playoffs, and who's going to want to raise their hand to play them?
No.
You know, I think they can beat anybody when they're playing like they did yesterday.
There's a path. Well, look, okay, if they're going to play a wild card team, I don't know if you get the Bills playing say for instance the Ravens, I'll take that matchup. Like I would.
Well, the Ravens are probably the 1. So if the Bills end up as the 7, they'll probably play either Kansas City or Miami.
I like that. I need them to get them
at
up out
their
of there.
place.
Yeah, and if you could get one of those 2 up out of there.
The Bills just beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, didn't they?
Yeah. So
it was a close game.
It was a very close game, but I mean, this is going to be one of those crazy fun years.
Very unpredictable.
And, I'm glad that they're going to get an invitation to the party. Earl, read, and then we'll pivot.
For sure, man. So next up, we're going to get into how David Njoku and Amari Cooper did something for the first time since Josh Gordon and Gary Barnidge. Go figure that. Wow. But first things first, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers is getting $150 in bonus bets. That's with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get into all the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partners of the NFL. Real quick, Jay, I know earlier in the season you were one of the people that called for David Njoku to kind of step up and, earn his money. I think it's fair to say he's done so.
Big time.
Amari Cooper is who we know he is. Who will emerge as weapon number 3 for the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I gave mine away earlier. I think it's going to be Goodwin. I really do. I know everybody's going to say, hold on, simmer down. It was one catch. But he brings an entire different facet to the offense. And as far as I know, he's the only guy here that can do it. So I think he's the guy, but I'll let you guys weigh in and tell me who you think
I think it's Cedric Tillman. I thought he made a big impact on yesterday's game.
What were his numbers? What do you have? How many catches?
I don't remember the exact numbers offhand, Earl, if you want to bring it up. But
he had 4 catches, 52 yards.
Okay.
I mean, that RPO throw was a big one. He looked like he was moving downhill on that, too.
He's starting to look like a hit.
Yeah.
All right, we got a long way to go.
It is. But we like him a lot more now than we did.
Yeah,
first half
he's
of the
been
season.
steadily improving and being more of a factor. I like what I'm seeing from him.
I'm totally with you. I think it's Cedric. He's emerging as someone who they can count on. He makes tough catches in traffic. He's a big body. He still hasn't done what I thought his role was going to be, which is the high point in the end zone.
Yeah.
A fade route
the big receiver
in the red zone. We really haven't seen that part at all. And I thought that would be the first thing that he contributed to this team. So I think there's a lot there. I think there's a lot more to go. There's more layers to this, as G said. There's more gears in there. But for me, I think Tillman is absolutely going to play a role in this team.
This is very close.
Yeah.
Very, because Tillman made a couple of – now, look, we could argue that a couple of weeks, 2 weeks in a row, he's not been in the right place and it caused a turnover. That's young receiver stuff. You really avoid that
Also
stuff.
a new quarterback that you're developing chemistry with.
Yeah. I thought he played really well. But, man, I got to go to Goodwin because I thought Sanchez said it really well on the telecast.
Well, that's the first time anyone's ever said that.
Well, yeah, right. I'm gonna see, Mark. Listen, besides the hair, I'm gonna give you something right here, right? Look, I like the Madden comment too, so that's 2 for you. Now he said they need to do. They sitting all over that the sit downs. They know what they're running. The comeback routes is not open. He said they just need a throw to say, listen, we still got this
Stretch
in the
it out.
playbook.
Yeah.
And that ball he threw to Goodwin was so crazy. It was like, I was like, man, that's the best spiral I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he hit him directly in stride.
Yeah, he did.
And now that's on tape.
See, that's what I think it's going to change
that's
everything.
Now
now
that's
the
on
defense
tape.
has to honor it.
I think they're both going to be a factor the rest of the way.
It's close, though.
I think
You know what's
Tillman.
odd? Nobody mentioned Elijah Moore.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't know. And he's had decent chemistry with Flacco in the other games, but I think Tillman's just going to be on the field a lot more than Goodwin's going to be on the field. Goodwin will be a like that was his only target the whole game was that pass.
They're going to have to put him on the field more because now, even if he's a decoy,
Yeah.
okay, good.
But
Take the safety out of the play.
I'm also concerned about the protection holding on the Goodwin play. Like
Yeah.
you got to have a pocket for that.
Yeah, with an 80% backup offensive line, you're right. That's going to be
They
tricky.
ran some.
I like getting him out of the pocket, though.
The misdirection stuff. Who picked up that last block to throw that ball? You said it.
Oh, Dunn was a
yeah.
pulling guard. Dunn doubled with Njoku. I don't know if it was Sweat, but Njoku, they had David stay into block, and Dunn was the pulling guard.
Yep.
But I didn't see who they were blocking.
And he got that block, and that was the only way they got that off. They're going to have to get creative. They're going to have to get creative in a lot of stuff that they do.
He don't have a whole lot of time to throw back.
By the way,
he
guys,
doesn't, and he's going to have even less if these injuries last and continue.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper now 15 yards away from the first ever back-to-back 1,000-yard season by a Browns receiver. 15 yards. Knock on everything. He's going to say
It might take 17 games to get him there.
And David Njoku has now set his record for most receiving yards in a season with 705. It's unlikely, but he's got an outside shot at
He can get to
1,000 yards. He needs to average
He
He
need
needs
100
three
a game.
straight 100-yard games.
99 yards a game. Right.
If he does that,
Man.
Well, what's funny is we've
Yeah.
talked about, and this is what a good quarterback does. We talked about all season, wide receiving core, mid, pass catchers,
Yeah.
mid. They're not good. Who's going to step up? When you put a guy back there who can throw darts and is accurate and can go through his reads and find the open guy, now all of a sudden, we just mentioned, because I threw Elijah Moore's name in there because I thought somebody would mention him.
Right.
Now, we're sort of 5 deep as our top 3
nobody's
weapons.
panicking about a wide receiver. You'd still want to get better in the offseason.
And that's how a good quarterback can hide a lot of warts.
That's still the number one priority this
I still think
in the offseason, no question.
You can never have enough good receivers.
Wherever their top pick is, I'm spending on a receiver.
By the way, I was just thinking, you were like, well, they haven't hit Tillman in the end zone. I'm thinking, almost all of Flacco's touchdowns the last 2 weeks have been long touchdowns.
I thought that too. He has not been in a red zone offense very much.
And they seem
Everything's
to look
been
at
longer.
they seem to be looking at like even Harrison Bryant and Njoku, and it's a lot of slant and in routes when they're down toward the goal line. They really don't throw a lot of fake corner fades,
Right, because they haven't had a wide receiver built that way
they don't.
until Tillman. But I think you're right. They've got to throw that wrinkle in there.
And to get back to Njoku, like the numbers are what they are, and if he gets to 1,000, that's great. But it just feels like the catches he's made are at huge moments.
And he's been wide
huge
open.
moments.
Well, he made the 2 big plays on the final field goal drive.
Yeah.
2
the
long
first one,
receptions.
The first one, however long it was, 30 yards or whatever, you're like, how do they hit that play in that moment?
The touchdown catch, I thought Joe was throwing it away. I thought he was throwing it through the back of the end zone, and all of a sudden,
that was an
Njoku.
incredible play.
I immediately thought back to the Bucks catch last year in overtime. Like it was that type of athletic. Where did that come from? Unbelievable type of catch.
Because Joe Flacco is throwing, like, I've seen this thing now. If a defender is in trail position, I got to ask Tyvis about it. But nowadays, when the defender if they're in trail position and their back is towards the football, quarterbacks are just throwing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're just throwing it. Like, I'm a high
That's exactly what happened there.
And let my guy go get it.
Yeah, and he had no chance. Before, people wouldn't throw that because it looks like, I'm not going to throw that because
Right
it's
there.
traffic right there.
I thought he was throwing it away.
I did too, and all of a sudden his hands go up, catch it, and he gets his feet in, and I'm like, wow, they got a connection. They really
What
have a
makes
connection.
that play work, too, is obviously the rollout. If he's going to take a straight drop, he's got 2 seconds to get rid of the football. But if you go back and run that play again, you can start counting by 1,000. He gave his tight end, in this case, time to get open because look at he's running, running. Everybody's chasing him.
Yeah.
If that's a straight drop back, the pocket's gone in no time, and he has to throw that through the back of the end zone.
And that's a veteran quarterback recognizing early the pressure was coming from one side of the field.
And ran the other
I got to
way.
get out.
Just like last week.
It was really smart. By the way, the Njoku play, the third, what did the Browns have? 3rd and 15 on that final final drive to score the field goal.
Yeah.
I think it was 3rd and 15 when he hit Njoku. Before that play, I'm like, all right, we'll get him in overtime.
Go to overtime.
Go to overtime.
Yep.
And he completes that play, and you're like, oh, my God. I mean, what did they get, 30 yards on that play?
It's unreal.
I mean,
really
there
was.
so many moments in this game like that won the game,
Yeah.
It's incredible that teams still refuse to cover him. He just finds soft spots in these zones.
Is it because he's staying in to chip and then releasing?
Sometimes.
Because on a lot of those plays, he was given up on by the linebackers as a route runner because he was staying in.
He's
and
had
he
a
stays
late
in
release.
A lot.
He's had a late release on a few.
It works.
But there was a couple yesterday where they just lost him. They just lost him in the zone. He ran a short curl, and the DB went deep, and it was open. And there was nobody within 15 yards of him. And Zach and I look at each other like, they just refused to cover him.
And he is tough to tackle.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
as far
Yeah,
as tight ends go,
Open field with a
he
full head
is
of
a
steam.
big, strong
Komet,
dude.
At the end of the first half when they were driving and they
Yeah.
were trying to save time, we couldn't tackle that guy in bounds. Once he caught the ball in the middle of the
Yeah,
field.
right.
And he's dragging
Yeah.
guys all the way to the sideline to get out of bounds. He's a tough bring down as well.
Yep.
I don't know that my answer to this is going to be yes, but I think it's worth a question. Was this the Browns' signature win all season?
No.
Because for me, San Francisco was a little bigger.
Yes.
But the way they won this one,
Yeah.
being down, scoring 17 points in the fourth quarter, they got great effort from the defense the entire game. I still look at that San Francisco game, and you can look at this game the same way too. If the last play of the game outcome was different, obviously, but the Niners could have made a kick. This Hail Mary was executed.
Yeah.
Receiver had it on his back.
I still think it's the Ravens game.
I was just going to say
Okay.
that. I still think
Okay.
it's
I mean,
Baltimore.
That was the Ravens have been the Browns' biggest nemesis.
yeah, in
they're the best
division,
team.
that's
Yeah.
good.
To win that on the road, Deshaun going 14-14.
Right.
Like, to me, that is the signature win
digging
the
out of a
season.
big hole in that one
Yeah.
as well.
But,
Yep.
hey, here's something new. We actually can debate what's their signature win.
could have 3
It's
signature
actually
wins.
different.
They've
we
had
could even
so
say
many.
the Steeler game win.
And you know what? We tripping. I forgot. I'm looking down. We got 3,900 people here live right now.
Whoa, let's go.
We
Get
got
us over
39.
4,000.
So if you are a new
likes.
person, you are new to the channel, you stumbled across this is what we do every single day. Hit the subscribe button. We got great content. And by the way, do us a favor. We got 3,900 people in here. Hit that like button for us, bro. It's free. And
Let's pause 5 seconds for everybody to hit the like button.
Yeah, we'll pause.
Thumbs up.
There
Give
you
it a
go.
thumbs up.
Let's pause
Please,
5
we love
seconds
you.
for the like button all across the UCSS YouTube network.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
A moment of silence. There it is.
That is our legal ID, and we did it right before the top of the hour.
By
bro.
the way, has
moment-
anybody checked on Bernie this morning?
No.
I
say
texted
that-
him. He never
I
texted
say
me back.
that because he has been like a 13-year-old rooting for his favorite team since Joe Flacco came to town.
Right.
What was Bernie's reaction when he threw that two-seamer to Amari Cooper? I think Bernie might have needed a standing 8 count or smelling salts.
Bro,
He might be out. I texted him this morning. I haven't heard from him.
he's going to be
He's
in.
still out.
He's coming in on Thursday.
Yeah.
He's probably going to break down that play for Friday, and I
in-
can't wait to see what he says.
He's in the hyperbolic
about
time
it.
chamber. He's just in there, just soaking up time.
I got a
You
question,
matter.
and maybe this is kind of like outrageous. First of all, Bull, I do agree with you when it comes to David Njoku. But Amari Cooper doesn't come with the flash. You know, he's not really necessarily the quote-unquote household name. He's not the Justin Jefferson. He's not gritty and in the end zone. Is he overrated? I mean, underrated, I'm sorry.
Underrated.
Is he underrated? We see
Maybe a
him-
little because
he's
just does
doing
have some Calvin
amazing
Johnson
things
to
out
him.
here.
He just does his job.
I don't think he's underrated. I think he's fairly rated.
Do you?
I mean, I think people around football think of Amari Cooper as a very good but not elite wide receiver, and I think that's what he is.
I agree.
Yeah.
He is, man. I wouldn't say he's underrated. I would say he's a little bit undervalued. Because if you look at it, we look at his plays, and because his plays aren't very splash worthy, we kind of oh, that's Amari Cooper. But you look up, and if you didn't have that man on the field, a bunch of other people would not be open. Like, when you say what person going out of the game really scares you, that it might be a Dundada, I'm looking at Amari Cooper like, I don't know if we can keep playing like this if Amari Cooper's outside of this game.
But I think smart football fans know that Amari Cooper's a very good player.
He has a great reputation.
I think so. I don't think he's underrated. He's really good.
I think he's accurately rated. I do think is if you were going to build a wide receiver that reflects the city for which he plays, I think he's a perfect fit for Cleveland. He goes to work. He works hard. He does his job. There's not a lot of talk or flash to his game. Calvin Johnson was the same way during his years in Detroit.
People in Cleveland don't like flash.
Little more. It's not that they don't like it. I just think that, if you think about, close your eyes, what vehicle does the Clevelander drive? Like, they drive the pickup truck. They're the gritty, I'm going to work and I'm going to weld 9 hours today. I might go in Saturday so I can get some overtime this week. Like, Amari Cooper isn't a Maserati. He's that dependable vehicle that's always going to get you from A to B. It's not going to look as pretty as the flashy imports with the wheels spinning, but he gets you to where you need to go. Yeah. He's reliable, he's dependable, and he goes to work.
He's like Nick Chubb. I mean, not quite as good a player.
No, I know, but exactly.
He's the same type of guy.
And I wonder if that happened was that more accident or was that more design, where these guys were brought into a city that really puts its arms around players like that.
I mean,
because you're right about the Nick Chubb comparison.
Right, they're similar guys. As Odell and Jarvis are more flashy type of receivers.
Yeah, and they just didn't
more
work.
Personality
didn't work
type.
long term.
But listen, Baker was flashy, and a lot of fans loved him. And kudos to Baker, he's playing well right now. But a lot of fans liked him, and he was flashy.
And by the way, listen, anybody, you can have a pickup truck or a sedan. Everybody would take Maserati Mom.
Yes.
Maserati.
Look at him.
Say it slow. Maserati.
Listen, he branded that man for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
He was like, you know how you say something 3 times, you now own that?
Yep.
Well, it's like the world-famous Ohio State Buckeyes. They were always until he started doing their games every week. Hey. The world-famous Ohio State Buckeyes.
In the lexicon, in the culture, he's right up there. People may not know it. Shout out the godfather of what we calling it like that. It's Stuart Scott. Stuart Scott is the godfather.
Yeah.
But Gus Johnson has placed himself in the top 5 for the culture just by calling it like that.
Let me ask you a question, and I got this because, I play a lot of Madden. I got a franchise right now with the Cleveland Browns. I'm in year 2. And Amari Cooper is coming up at the end of his contract. I think in my Madden franchise, he's 31. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you all, when it comes time next year, are you paying Amari Cooper to stay here?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a contract through next year. Maybe they'll renegotiate.
Yeah.
You're not letting Amari Cooper walk.
Yeah,
I mean, that doesn't make sense.
He is the son to the Browns wide receiver room universe.
And you agree with that, Jason? You're on top of these contracts.
I'm just pulling it up because he's got a massive number next year.
Yeah, they got to renegotiate.
And we need another one.
He's $23 million against the cap.
What I would do with Amari Cooper is I'd extend him, knock the money over more years.
And that's likely what they'll do.
He's getting up there in age.
How old is
he? He's probably
29.
Yeah, I would extend him another year. Get him through age 31.
Spread that money out.
Spread it out a little.
Yeah, so it's less punitive.
He's already on the books for a $4 million cap hit in 2026 when he's not under contract, and that's what we talked about before.
Yeah,
you kick the money down the road. You kick the money down the road. So
but
eventually,
you can't let him walk.
No. But they got to figure it out. He's on the books for $24 million.
This one I'm confident they'll figure out.
They'll figure it out. They got to knock that number down, but they got to keep him for at least 2 more years.
I want to read this quote from Flacco yesterday when we were talking about guys like Amari and Nick and the way they go about their business. And Joe was asked yesterday, like, how do you explain this, what we're seeing now? He said, I think it just tells you a lot about the kind of guys that this organization has purposely picked to put on the roster and in that locker room. And I think it's one of those things that you probably can't quantify. But having hard workers, having tough guys, if you're put in situations where you need to have that resilience, not every one of them is going to work out. So there's a little bit of luck involved in some things like today. But I think it just speaks to the character of the guys in that room. And I think you have to give credit to the organization for probably doing that on purpose.
I think that's well said.
It is remarkable, and a lot of kudos due to Andrew Berry on this, because for how many years have we all said, The Browns are soft.
Yeah.
They have terrible chemistry. They got bad guys. They don't play hard. And now it's a complete 180 from what they were. Now they're a tough team. Now they're a fight hard team. And I think, G, you said it earlier. I think you're 100% right. We all talk. Of course we do. We, the fans, all talk about the injuries. I think G's 100% right. I don't think the players give a rat's ass about the injuries.
Well, I think that there's. I was talking to Wyatt.
Normally, yes, but when they get to this point, you can't ignore the elephant in the room.
I was joking with Wyatt and Teller in the locker room, and I said, "You can't get hurt." He goes, "No, I literally cannot go down.
Yeah.
There's nobody else." Like Wyatt's like, he's the last one standing.
Yeah.
Like he's the last one.
What I'm saying,
Put him in
Jason,
bubble
is they're
wrap all
not,
week.
they're not thinking,
that's in his head. He's
They're
like,
not
yo,
thinking, woe is me.
Correct.
Right? They're
Correct.
like, all right, we're going to go do it. Let's
Correct.
go.
Let's figure it
Yeah.
out.
And this isn't. We don't need to spend a ton of time on this. This isn't a Monday post game topic, and I mentioned it briefly before. But we give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit all the time, and I think rightfully so. Andrew Berry had a hell of a draft last year, guys.
Yes, and
Like-
it's getting better with the Tillman emerging.
Cedric
let me hear them
Tillman.
And that's without a number one.
Cedric Tillman, Ika, who got on the field for the first time yesterday, we'll see what kind of player he is. It's because they've had a lot of good tackles in front of him.
I didn't
that he
notice
couldn't get on the
anything bad
field.
or good with him. Did
Correct.
anybody?
DeJuan Jones, that was a hit. He
Yeah.
got hurt, but that was a hit. Isaiah McGuire, we'll see. DTR contributed. Cam Mitchell contributed.
He looks like a real player.
Yes, Luke Whipple, and one more
Whipple
thing on
played
that.
yesterday.
Well, look
Whippler-
at Hickman, who was undrafted.
Right.
Ronnie
we
Hickman
go.
undrafted. DeAnthony Bell undrafted last year. And here's the other thing I would say. We can talk about they've had blind spots in trying to figure out receivers in the draft. This team knows how to find cornerbacks and
They
defensive
do.
backs.
You're right.
When you go through the list of Newsome, Emerson, DeAnthony Bell, Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's more. Who am I? Like, it just
Grant Delpit.
well, that was a previous regime.
Yeah.
But this team, the guys that they have in there, they know what they're looking for in defensive backs, and they are hitting on these young
Well,
guys.
good.
in
Let's
the
hope it
draft.
continues.
And you can't sign everybody. And I think they could let Newsom walk because of the depth they have.
Well, they're not going to walk. He wouldn't walk. You'd have to trade him if anything.
I thought he was. Isn't this his fourth year?
No.
it's his third year. You're right.
That's why
My
it was
bad.
ludicrous when he was like, "Yeah, we gonna trade Newsom."
Right, right,
They're like,
yeah.
"Bro, you just got here. You didn't get it all."
I would try really hard to keep all three of those guys. I'd keep Ward, Emerson, and Newsom. And you're right. Like, you can't keep everyone.
Right.
And eventually you're going to have to make hard decisions. But I think what makes this defense go is having those three guys, having three corners that you feel
Well,
comfortable
when Newsom's
playing.
in the slot,
He's
much
better in the slot
yeah.
than he is on the
Right,
boundary.
he's out of position
and
when
now,
he's on the outside.
and now we can say, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, not only are they drafting well, because you can throw JOK into that mix, him playing
For
well.
sure.
They go out. The guys they get in free agency,
Hopkins, Flacco.
they
alone.
play like just them two, because we said we gave a list of all the people that we need or at quarterback. They brought in one guy. It was almost like he was on the short list of one.
Yeah.
They brought him in, and it was Flacco. And we didn't say Flacco. We had a bunch of lists that we went all around him. But guess what? They pinpointed, showed they wanted him, did the same thing with Hopkins, and that's very impressive to be
Well,
able
they
to do
signed
that.
Posick. They
Yeah.
even Garrett Christian, who's done a serviceable job at left tackle.
Yeah, and it's
They
the
signed him.
guys on the margins. It's the Posick that you talk
Yeah.
about. It's Maurice Hurst that
Yeah,
we don't even
it's another
talk
one.
about
Great addition.
on a
Shelby
one-year
Harris.
deal. Shelby, these guys that came in, the guys on the margins, one-year deals, a little bit of money. They've come in. The big name guys, Za'Darius, Dalvin Tomlinson, they get all the headlines. But it's the moves on the margins so often in all
Marquez.
sports teams. He's a free agent.
Andrew Berry's move to the decision that we all watched the kicker and we were like, gotta go, gotta go. He picked him.
Yep.
So imagine getting over that threshold where he finally told himself, I've got to wash my ego and pride out of this. I made a mistake. How do I make this right? He
Right.
made it right by not only releasing him, but he went out and found a Pro Bowl kicker on the scrap heap.
Well, they traded for him.
Did they? I thought they signed Hopkins.
They
No,
traded for him.
Hopkins
He
they
lost the
traded like
kick.
a 7th-round pick.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but-
yeah.
In my mind, they just went out and
And he
got
lost
him.
his
free
job.
agent.
He lost the competition in.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. He was going to be the backup
In
kicker.
LA.
He
anyhow.
probably would have been cut, but if nobody traded
Yeah,
for
but
him.
you know what? He could have played a dangerous game, and
Yes.
he could have said, let's wait until he hits
Right.
the
Maybe they
open
traded him for
market,
someone else.
and maybe someone else jumps on him
Correct.
at that point.
Yes.
And that guy's been, what a find he's been.
Unbelievable. We don't win 4 games this year, I think, are directly attributable to his
And
kick.
Bojorquez had another great game yesterday.
He actually kicked one out that went out like
He
at
did.
the 2.
Yeah.
Angled it.
So he
Angled
must
it.
be working on it.
Yeah.
I thought
this is the thing now.
and even
Anglin's his thing.
I'll tell you, I know he had a bad fumble a few games ago, but Prochet's done a nice job as the punt returner.
Yes,
outside of
that.
that one fumble, he's done a good job.
Just catch it.
I still want him to
secure
pick it up a little bit more
Yeah.
often.
How about Trent Taylor yesterday with the Bears? I mean,
Oh,
those
my God.
2 fumbles, but the second one, obviously.
You know what you said he made up. I think Barry, he makes mistakes, or he makes a mistake. He's the cleanup man. Like, think about it. The DTR thing came back where with not having a backup quarterback.
Everyone was killing him for not keeping
He
Dobbs here.
said, let me go get another
Dobbs is
veteran.
bench now.
I told him he punted the season because he didn't have no linebackers and no defensive tackles. The next year, he stocked the defensive tackles to the cupboard, up to the top, and he brought back Anthony Walker. The thing I'm looking at him, what he does is if he makes a mistake, he doesn't necessarily double down on it. He's been able to go and fix it, just like a lot of their.
I wasn't as convinced before the season on Berry as I was. I was already convinced on Stefanski. I wasn't as convinced on Berry, but I think now they both should get extensions.
I agree.
offseason.
And they would get them in tandem, right?
Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah.
And I've talked about it on the show before. Like, the more you do something, the better you get at it. And so, Kevin had a great first year, and then there were some struggles, but he sort of figured it out.
Yeah.
Barry, you don't hit on all your free agents. They had a terrible free agent class the year prior with some of the guys that they brought in.
Yeah.
They learn from their mistakes. The longer you do, and that's what happens. That's the beauty of stability. That's the beauty of patience.
Which they haven't had.
They
Now
haven't
do.
had.
Yeah.
When you're emotional and reactionary to everything, you don't give guys
You're
a chance.
rebuilding every 3 years.
And you don't give guys a chance to learn from things that they do wrong. When you have stability, when you have patience, when you allow guys, okay, we missed on that. What did we learn from that? Okay, we're going to pivot, and we're going to do this instead. When you give them that chance, look what happens.
Yeah.
You can have success.
One guy we haven't mentioned, sorry, Earl, real quick, Dalvin Tomlinson with the thinness.
Oh, my
he
goodness.
stepped up big time, made a lot of big plays yesterday.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
did.
Alex Wright had a game too. But before we even move on to anything, I want to add on to Jason said and kind of get his perspective on this because you be in a locker room, you attend a lot of press conferences. I've heard Andrew Berry say numerous times about there's 3 or 4 different times throughout a season where you evaluate the roster that you have, right? You do it at the end of the season, you do it before the draft, after the draft, right before you go to camp, when you coming out of camp, et cetera, and you see what you have.
Trade deadline.
And trade deadline. And Jason talks about him learning as he go, and just sticking things through and being able to assess situations differently due to past mistakes. And you can see that show up this season. You hear the Browns organization talk a lot about this being a collective, effort, how everybody has a voice. You mentioned Jerron Christian, right? Bill Callahan was on an organization that drafted Jerron Christian, and what happened when that tackle went down? He went straight to AB like, hey, I got a guy in mind. Mm-hmm. And so we give the Browns, I think, a lot of slack when things aren't going right, but you can see the even keel and just steady pace of both Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, and I think we're starting to see the results of that right now.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
You reap the rewards of patience. I feel like watching Stefanski play call, I'm not as nervous because he's not as nervous. Even last year, there were times when I felt he was a nervous play caller. Just his body language was tense.
I think he had. I don't know if it's a nervous play caller. I think he has full confidence in his quarterback right now, and
that might be the first time.
And I don't know. He didn't with Baker, and I don't
Well,
think
for a stretch he did with Baker
early, but by
he lost it when Baker was hurt in the second
and
year.
he
with
did.
Stefanski.
He did not have it
gone.
last
Let's
year.
stay here. Let me get a read in. Let's stay here. Let's talk about Kevin
All right, go ahead.
Stefanski. It's time to put some respect on his name anyway.
Totally is.
Definitely is. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on all the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. As I just said, man, it's time to put some respect on Kevin Stefanski's name.
You ready
I kind
for a
of went
victory
crazy
lap?
on the post-game show.
yeah.
Y'all go at it.
By the way, it's Jaron Christian. It's Jaron. If we're going to crap on Mark Sanchez for screwing up names, we got to pronounce names
I'm
right,
not much
too.
of a runner, but Bull and I are going to take our
Oh,
victory
yeah,
lap.
yeah,
on-
yeah.
Stretch
on
it out,
victory lap.
Tom. You got
Victory lap.
gotta stretch
Victory
your
lap. I
arms.
can barely stretch.
Get them little arms.
What was the victory victory lap? I'm sorry. I missed
We've just been taking a lot of shrapnel.
That's right.
We've taken a lot of
what?
friendly
We've
fire.
been on the Kevin
Stefanski.
Stefanski when everybody else was killing him.
For 2 years, I've been getting destroyed for
Killing him. People
defending
were
this
mad.
man.
Fire him.
I know they're talking.
No, not just you guys, but not just you guys.
The fan base.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
fan base.
Oh,
A
no,
lot of people.
I done had the tiki torches.
Hey, where's Brad? Come on, Brad.
Yeah.
Come on back, Brad.
Yeah, you're right.
Brad and I went to war last year over
I
Kevin.
said this. I did say this.
Yeah.
We was in,
You said first 6 games.
I said first 6 games.
Because you never called to fire him.
I said first
But
6
you
games.
said
I got
you
yes,
one
wanted
he
to
did.
give him.
He wanted him.
Did you actually say you want him fired?
Go back and watch the postgame show.
I think
On
there's-
post-
I don't know about
Yeah.
postgame.
On emotional post game.
Yeah, I think I've said that multiple times in the post game.
Listen,
Right.
you get credit in the hours after a game. Fans are emotional. That's what we do.
But I
You get a
did.
lenient- But if you sleep on it and come in on Monday and still call for his job, you have to wear that.
But I did say on the post game show, I'm always a fan of changing your mind. Listen, you give me some new stuff. That's like
This is not about knocking you or you.
No.
It's about giving us credit.
you should take them laps and run with them. I told
right.
you, bro. You got to wear them stamps. You can't let nobody strip your medals. Hey, I told Earl. I said, listen. When we was on a 2-minute warning last night. I said, look, at this point, where was the turning point for me? And I said, hey, I can't. I'm not messing with him more. You can't even say nothing to him. When Batonio went out, and I was like, oh no. As a defensive lineman, I just saw what Sweat and the rest of them was doing up front. They would look like the Ninja Turtles up front. They was destroying us. They was kicking us in the face. They was punching us in the teeth.
They had superpower.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. When I seen that we could no longer run the ball or snap the ball without being put in the backfield, I said, if the Browns win this game, the Stefanski slander is done. You got to wait till next year. I don't care what he calls the plays right now. I'm just saying. I mean, look, whatever you feel like calling, dog.
How is he?
Whatever you want to do.
How is he not the favorite for Coach of the Year right now?
He's
impossible.
Definitely for me. He's in the top 3.
I don't think he's going to win it.
I don't think
How
he's
can
gonna win
you
it.
not?
You know why? That
What's
award
the-
more than anything else. You know this. They love to anoint the shiny new toy.
He just won
They
it in
love
2020.
But
And
wait
he
a
did win
second.
it recently.
The award usually goes to the most unexpected good team.
I think he
which is them.
I think he should win it.
Yes.
I don't think he will win.
Your
it.
Yeah,
colleagues-
I agree with you. I just think that he's
What?
in the top 3 for me, but I know how these things work.
What? Your brother?
What if the
What's
Texans
up
don't
with
make the
these
playoffs?
dudes?
Listen, I don't.
Then probably not.
They
D'Amico
get
Ryan.
voted wrong a lot.
D'Amico Ryan's
Is in contention. Mike McDaniel in Miami's in
I don't-
contention.
And here's the thing,
Your
too.
guy Zach Taylor. If the Bengals make the
Zach
playoffs,
Taylor's
with
done a
Burrow
great
going
job,
down,
too.
He's going to be in
The
contention.
reason I think this conversation is moot is because the hay's not in the barn. We're
It's not.
80% of the races run, 85% of the races run.
you're right.
But you can trip and not run
Yes.
through the
Yeah,
hay.
Browns
Yes.
lose their last 3.
Right.
Yeah, there,
so
forget
let's
it.
just
Yeah.
let's
I'm gonna
pump the brakes and see what happens.
I'm gonna give you. This is the reason by far he should win Coach of the Year.
As of today.
As of today. By no means is this even debatable. When the Browns started last year, they became the worst hated team in America
Yes.
because of Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
True.
You had people, top-notch media people, saying on public airwaves, I just don't like the Browns. They're hard to root for. I hate the story. It's the worst contract in history. They've already had the dumpster fire thing going on. Then he got suspended 11 games. When he came back, did not play that well. Then you started up again, in and out with the injuries. This man, Kevin Stefanski, went on, after being the worst liked team in the media and losing your best players, to saying, you know what, I'm just going to win with all these P.J. Walker and rookies and Joe Flacco, and I'm going to do it in a way where not only I'm doing it like this, if this was any other team, if this job was done by the Baltimore Ravens, Coach of the Year, if this was done by the Steelers, Coach of the Year, they would give it to him based on what they've done in the past. This job is not debatable. They've beaten, if you say the 49ers is the best team, the Browns beat them with P.J. Walker. If you like the Ravens, the Browns beat them with Deshaun Watson with a broken arm and an ankle. If you like any of these teams that got good defense, the Browns got the best defense. He hired Schwartz. He's doing it with Minimowski parts. It's not debatable. You got Tyreek Hill. That don't count.
I don't think he's going to lose it because it's the Browns. I think, as Jason's right, he might lose it because he just won it a few years ago. But right now, today, he would be my first choice. What's his name would be 2 for the Texans?
D'Amico Ryan's definitely up there.
And Zach Taylor might be 3rd.
You know what, though? I think all this is important, but
Yeah.
I do think the award's going to be won in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, probably.
Could
You know, if Houston runs the table, they're going to
Yeah.
win the
Now,
award. If the Browns
if
run
they
the
win
table,
out, I might change my mind. They
listen,
might have
if the
to give
Browns
it to
run,
him.
if they run the table, then he's coach of the year.
And by the way,
12 wins.
They easily could run the table.
They could. All these games are
They're
winnable.
winnable.
All of them.
So let me ask you. So Mike McDaniel, right? Well, let's say, okay. Well, Mike McDaniel. Let's look at his job.
Well, what's killing him is he just hasn't beat a good team.
You take his starting quarterback and his best player out of the game. What is he doing?
Go down to starting quarterback number 4.
Yeah, take Tua and Tyreek
Tua
Hill
and Tyreek
off,
Hill.
Yeah.
off
You
Miami.
Go down to Texas,
They're
Houston,
done.
Texas,
They're
and tell
done.
C.J.
Although
Stroud.
he did win without Tyreek Hill yesterday.
Well,
But
because they've got a
you
really
got to
nice
sustain
piece
that
to back him up.
But that's a whole year. Go take C.J. Stroud off the Texans.
for a sustained period
they're
of time.
Yeah.
done.
Now, they
But
did
you know
win
what?
yesterday
D'Amico,
without
D'Amico
But they
took
played a
Case
bad
Keenum
team.
yesterday, even though it was a bad team.
And they were
They
down.
held serve.
Yeah,
they
they
held
did.
serve. They won the game.
Now let's
So-
see if they can do it again and again and
right.
again and
if
again,
next,
like the
I
Browns
think the
have.
next 3 weeks, all of these awards that we're talking about, the MVP award, I thought Dak was probably the front runner.
He was.
Dak lost it yesterday, in my mind.
I think Lamar could easily win this.
Lamar is
I'm not
absolutely
ready to.
in the
I'm
And
not
by
ready
the
to
way,
say-
don't count.
100%.
I don't think Josh Allen is out of it.
if he can get the Bills to
He's
rally,
playing
Yeah,
great.
it depends on how they finish. Again, the last 2
I don't-
games.
I don't understand.
They've got a tough way to go.
No, not the next 2 games. They're playing crappy teams.
Aren't they playing at Miami? I thought they had Miami now.
I think they
Bills.
play them later in the year.
They do. It's the last game of the season.
Okay, so that's that. I mean, will be easy.
The Bills have a chance to win the AFC.
The
Are they playing
Bills.
San Francisco too?
Bills got 2 cupcake wins the next 2 weeks.
Who do they have?
They're at the Chargers. That's an easy
Yeah, that
win.
doesn't. Yeah.
And then they host the Patriots. Those are easy wins.
Although I will say this on
The
the at the
Patriots.
Chargers front,
Yeah.
like if it's Easton Stick, they're going to win. But that's a
No, it
tough,
is Easton Stick or somebody else, but not.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I
Herbert's
put
done
Easton
for the
Stick
year,
back. I know it is,
so-
but I don't know what else they're working with.
By the
out
way,
there.
the great Gazoo, Mason Rudolph, starting against the Bengals for the Steelers this week.
I thought they waited too long to put him in on Saturday. I mean,
Might finally be right about my
Waited-
Steelers under 500 prediction.
I'm not ready to dance on their grave. I know you're not either.
no.
Did anybody
but they're
see
a mess.
the
They're a
Sanchez
mess.
interview with Joe Flacco that they ran in their pregame show?
I saw just a
not
clip of it.
I didn't
Was it
get-
the one
Long
where he
as you
talked
heard
about
it.
how his kids,
Yes.
what they want? It was a
Yes.
great clip.
Did you hear the beginning?
What's that?
Did you hear the beginning?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I mean the whole thing was great.
Wait, was Mike? I heard Mikey McNuggets was mentioned in.
Yeah.
Was that
Yes,
what happened?
yes.
Explain it. I didn't hear it.
Do we have that clip? I figured we would have clipped that.
So we thought, I didn't know if we was allowed to play it or not, but yeah, me and Anthony definitely got it saved in our phones.
Well, did they ask you if did anybody ask us if they could play us?
That's true.
Let's play it.
Yeah, play it.
We gonna work on it. We gonna
Yeah,
get
all
that
right,
worked
throw
on.
it in there.
I did
But
see the.
while he's working on that, I had a question for Jason in the overall statement. For me, it's always been about Kevin Stefanski being a leader of men and how he galvanizes the troops and
Yeah.
respect that he has in the locker room. People get bogged down on the situational play calling. I'd love for you to speak to that, but for all 4 of you, just hearing you talk, you know what I thought about? Kevin Stefanski has made every other head coach have 0 excuses.
You're exactly
No, you
right.
aren't kidding.
You're exactly. I was thinking
Yeah.
about that last night. Actually, you were 100% right.
25% of his salary cap is off the team.
Yeah, yeah. You can look at the
I think
Jets.
that's a little overstated.
I don't.
No, it's not.
I
It's
don't.
not.
A lot
Nope.
of teams have their
Nick
quarterbacks
Chubb-
that are out.
That's true.
Chubb's a big number too.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So, but like you can look at the Jets and Robert Saleh and say, well, the Browns are winning. Why can't you figure it out? You lost Aaron Rodgers, but
Yeah.
why can't you figure
You
it
got
out?
a defense. You got a good receiver.
You can look at all these teams
Yeah.
and say, well, they can do it. If they can do it, why can't you do it? You're 1,000%
That's a good
right.
point.
But one of the things when you talk about Kevin and the way that he galvanizes and he is a leader and all those things are true, the thing that I keep saying about him that no one wanted to hear was the fact, like everyone says, oh, he thinks the Ivy Leaguer thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I'm telling you, dude has no ego, none. It may be hard to believe he doesn't think he's the smartest guy in the room. He's very much about, hey, let's do this together. Let's figure this out. If you've got an idea, I want to hear it. He's all about bringing people together and just throwing it together.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to know him a little bit. We're by no means tight, but I've gotten to know him a little bit away from the cameras, the microphones, and everything. And he told me, like, hey, if I screw up, just rip me. Like, rip me. I don't care. Rip me.
Wow, you got to love that.
And there's no coach that's like, because
Never.
I told him, like, I kind of like want to know, hey, this didn't make sense to me. Can you explain this before I rip? He goes, nah, just rip it. If it didn't work, just rip me. And I'm telling you, that is so
That's
rare. I hear
well,
from
he knows we will anyhow.
Oh,
but
he
it
knows.
is smart of him to say that.
Oh,
knows
and like,
That's great.
Yeah, like he's just, there's zero ego involved with him. It's very much if you can help Bring it to the table and let's figure this out. And it's one of the things I've come to appreciate about it. He told me last year especially, he's like, yeah, just rip me.
Why, by the way, when did it become a bad thing for a coach to be smart?
I know, right?
People say Ivy League as if that's an insult.
No, you know what? It's a bad thing if the coach thinks the reason why he might be the smartest guy in the room is because he's not willing.
He probably is the smartest guy.
He probably is, but you know what I love about him? The fact that he's willing to say, I'm not.
Yeah.
The smartest guy in the room can't be the smartest guy in the room if he thinks he is.
Right.
And you know how that works.
But he knows the division that he's in. He knows, hey, you got Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh in this division. Like, I'm starting third at best in this division. Yeah. I'm telling you, there is no ego involved. It's one of the things I've really grown to respect and appreciate about him.
Marketing idea for around the holidays.
Okay.
And around the holidays, everybody's thinking about calendars for the new year. You need a calendar, even though those things are kind of archaic these days. Here's the idea. Now roll with the punches here. Women love them. The beard. They love them. They love to look at them. They can't get enough.
My wife texted me between Stefanski and Flacco.
Yeah.
She's very happy these days.
The beard game is working for the Browns. We're going to do Kevin Stefanski in a firefighter theme poster, calendar. 12 different pictures of our head coach in firefighter gear.
Well, we're going to have to get the okay from him, though.
Well, here's how he's going to do it. This man does his best work when the house is on fire. When COVID was going on and everybody was struggling out, how do we put in a process? How are we going to do this when we can't even be in the same room half of the time?
Okay, I'm reading you.
Kevin figured it out.
As a first-year coach.
Figured it out and had his best year. Yep. Was coach of the year. This year, once again, the house is on fire. And here comes Stefanski with his stubble running up to the house with the fire hose. He's going to put out the fire.
He got to keep his shirt on, though. We're
not
going to be doing no.
You don't want that?
He's not going to be over there baby oiled up with his suspenders on.
You can't have that? What about Myles Garrett? Maybe Myles Garrett can do that in the background.
That's crazy. That's crazy, pause.
You got to have everybody get their own month.
That means Myles Garrett is behind another grown man oiled up.
Have Myles Garrett have his own month. You got to get David Njoku in there. He's in great shape.
He never wears a shirt, does he?
Hey,
you know, when Myles Garrett, I was during the 5 o'clock show. I think it was Thursday. What day did he talk? Was it Wednesday?
Miles? Yeah. Miles talks on Fridays.
It's funny. It doesn't feel like it was Friday's show, but maybe it was.
He talks every Friday.
He came on. No, you know what? It wasn't Friday because there weren't two ladies with me on Friday. On Wednesday or Thursday, he talked and he did it with no shirt. And when we ran the soundbite, his pecs or his neck muscles start at just below his ear and they connect to his shoulder. He popped up and you could hear the whole room go, oh. And I'm anchoring with two women, and they're both going, oh, my God. So when we came out, I had to call them out on it. We came out of the soundbite. I'm like, man, if only you people at home could have seen what was going on in the studio when Myles Garrett popped up shirtless. And then I said this, I go, and listen, I wouldn't wear a shirt either. I would never wear a shirt. Why would you if you look like that?
Yep. I don't understand how they let it. He gets it off. He gets that off. To go to a workplace and not have no clothes.
Well, David Njoku also never wears a shirt.
Go to the workplace.
Again, why would you?
I wouldn't if I were him.
Out there looking like they're on the cover of a Jet magazine.
Do media interviews shirtless.
Yeah, the women love this team.
I'll be right with you. Let me take my shirt off, and then I'll come over and talk to you.
I had to tell Myles Garrett, hey, man, Myles, you got to put listen, you can't be around my old lady with your shirt off, bro. That's disrespectful.
When he shows up at dinner parties shirtless,
come on, man.
You going to tell him that to his face?
Oh, yes, I will.
And then run like hell.
You got it. Listen, you can't do that. You can't pull up with. He got them little ab lines right here by your belly, like they just be going down. Like you
he would crack up at that. He would crack up.
He'd be like, you're right. And I'm like, my wife, go get to the car.
No, I say more power to him. But you know what? He usually says when he plays with the cut jersey and no undershirt that he gets tested for steroids.
Man, this dude.
I mean, when he shows up at the podium with no shirt on and he looks like he's a fitness model, not a football player.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, Joe Flacco's getting drug tested this week. You think I'm kidding?
You saw Jake Browning?
I said,
Jake Browning
we joked.
He got drug tested right before the game.
Yeah, we joked. You told me before when Joe he said, what if he throws for 300 yards in his first game? And I said, well, then he's peeing in a cup the next day. I'm telling you, it's coming. Joe Flacco threw for more yards at 38 years old than any Browns quarterback in history in his first 3 games. He's peeing in a cup this week.
I told you last week, and Jason, I would visit you. You guys are tired from your victory lap. Bull's legs are shaking, trembling. Now, I asked, I said, you know, I don't know if this is sustainable. After 3 games, is this sustainable?
I hold my breath every week. Every week.
Yeah, but
right?
Like, at halftime, I almost put in the chat, guys, about that extension.
Listen,
but you know what?
Right. Listen.
I typed it out. And I was getting ready to hit send, and I go,
You couldn't.
no, I'm not going to bet against this guy. I'm riding or dying with Joe Flacco.
They was waiting for
And
that.
now
thing.
you know
Oh
what?
yeah,
Now
they was waiting.
well,
We
let
were
me
going to
just say
hit
it
you.
to
We
their
were
face.
both going to hit you.
I'm like, okay, after the 3rd interception, I go, here comes the vortex in 3, 2, 1. But you laid out. I like that you laid out because you know what it told me? There was one scintilla of one brain cell that said, maybe he can
I
bring us
still
back.
had some faith in him. I didn't think the game was over.
I was ready. But you know what? The reason I didn't send the text is because I thought, I mean, hell, maybe he's going to go for 350 and a couple touchdowns and win the game.
I don't think either of us said don't sign him to an extra year because we think he's going to go down the crapper. We're
No,
just
you
like,
just think in general it's a
fine.
bad idea.
I agree
Just
with
wait.
that. There's no rush to it.
There's
Yeah.
just
Just
no rush.
wait until
That's
after
it.
the year, and then we can have.
But I
that
mean,
He's
conversation.
having
Will you
so
give me
much
this?
fun here. Where's he
Will
going
you
if
give
the
me
Browns
this?
want him?
If they do run the table, can you believe I'm saying that?
I know.
But
Look,
they're going to be
Flacco.
favored in all these games.
Yeah, right?
If they do run the table, and if they make it to an AFC championship game and it's Joe Flacco, what do you do for next
It's going
year?
to be. I don't even want to talk
It's
about
coming.
it because it's going to be
I
a
told you it's
war.
coming.
It's going to be a war.
It's already brewing.
Yes.
It's
It is, because you're already
people-
hearing people say it. But here's
They're
why
tooling up. They're clipping up
But
right
here's
now.
the one thing that I think everybody will agree on. He's not a long-term answer.
No.
Or is he?
No,
Brady did it until he was 46.
Yeah, but
he won a Super Bowl at 45.
Yeah, but Brady hadn't done nothing for 10 years.
What do you mean?
Flacco hasn't been good.
Flacco's
basically.
last good
Oh,
year
no, I
was
see what you're saying. Oh,
2018.
okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
no.
I'm telling you, logistically, it's still an issue of carrying 3 quarterbacks on the 53. It's making the money fit. It's so much more than we'll just bring Joe back.
I think it's a conversation for
But
everybody.
It is. But I'm just
guys,
saying.
I'm just throwing out there in the room right now
That it's gonna-
if this guy takes them to an
course.
AFC championship game,
It's going to be.
we've got an issue.
I'm already fielding the calls. Earl can attest to it.
Guys,
I'm already taking the calls on the
that-
radio. They're like, listen, Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback. And I was like, well, what do you mean, sir? He said, no, not just now. I'm letting you know. There's people that are getting their pitchforks ready. They're getting their machetes and hatchets, and they're
Gotta
hanging
see
out.
how. And then there's the opposite end.
And then it's the opposite.
like the real Xavier P, who
That-
can't. If you say anything nice about Flacco, he wants to
Yeah, there is.
punch you in the face.
It's like the Braveheart GIF where he's pulling
Yeah,
out the
right.
sword
Yeah.
and the horses are
Remember,
like, it's going to be nasty.
Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, and they still went back to Carson Wentz.
That's true. But that also didn't work out so
didn't
well.
work out.
Yeah, but it wasn't like
They
Nick
did it.
Foles was any good anymore.
No, I know.
Neither
but I'm
one
saying,
of them was any good.
Right, but I'm saying
Bro.
Wentz didn't really work out in Philly
Listen,
anyway.
you know what? I hope we have that problem.
It's
Yeah,
a good
it's a good
problem.
problem to
I will
have.
say that even if we do have that problem,
I'll take it.
I think the Browns are wearing handcuffs on this one. You're married to Deshaun Watson for 3 more years.
It is what it is.
And maybe you're sleeping in different bedrooms, but you're married. and you're not getting divorced.
Oh, that was the best one. Yeah, have you been looking at my diary?
One sleep upstairs, the other one sleep downstairs.
All right.
1 week at a time. But yeah, it will be it'll be something fun to debate the offseason.
What
I'll
you
tell you that.
mean? This is going. That's
Let's
our
hope
whole-
it happens.
It would carry us for months in the
Let's hope
offseason.
it happens. I'm
Months.
looking forward to it if it happens.
Hey, real quick, the 374, according to Stat Boost, that's the 11th most passing yards by any quarterback of any game this season. So
Yeah.
Flacco was out here balling.
Good God.
It's
By the way,
unbelievable.
we got to look at the AFC playoff picture here for a minute.
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah, let's talk
because-
about it.
So the Ravens clinched the spot last night.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the only one in the AFC,
In
right?
the AFC.
Yep.
All right. Right. So at the moment, the Dolphins are the 2 seed. They're 10-4. The Chiefs are the 3 seed at 9-5. And then
tied with the Chiefs.
Crazy.
yeah,
are
and then the
tied.
Jaguars, because it's a division champ, or as of right now, would be the South champs, even though they're tied with both the Colts and Texans. But as of now, the Jaguars have the tiebreaker. They're the 4 seed at 8-6. The Browns are 5th at 9-5. The Bengals are 6th at 8-6. The Colts are 7th at 8-6. The Texans and Bills are 8-6, but as of now don't have tiebreakers, so they're 8-9. So there's 9 teams that are 8-6 or better. Still not done. The Steelers at 7-7, the Broncos at 7-7, and even the Raiders at 6-8.
At the fifth spot, who would the Browns play if he started today?
As of today, they play the Jaguars.
No.
No.
Jacksonville.
Oh, would be? Wow, I'd love that.
Yeah, because the top wild card plays the lowest division winner.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
That would
I'll take
be-
that all day.
Hey, listen,
Now
shoot.
it would be in Jacksonville this time.
Oh, I'm okay.
Right.
I'm all right.
But Jacksonville hasn't played well at home, and they're
They
not
look
playing
like
very
garbage.
well right now.
Yeah,
They've
they
won
were
3 in a row.
yesterday. Like garbage.
Now, the way they're playing, it doesn't feel like they're going to win the division right now.
I mean,
No.
Indy could win that division.
Well, it's a 3-way tie.
Houston could win
Well,
it.
we do know. Doesn't Jacksonville get Tennessee twice, or does it Houston?
I looked this up. I looked this up last week, and now I don't remember.
I think somebody got somebody twice.
I think it was Houston has Tennessee twice.
One of these teams does have Tennessee twice.
and they played yesterday, so that's out. Not right.
So maybe it's Houston that
Jacksonville's
has them.
3 remaining games, they are all winnable. They are at Tampa Bay. They host the Panthers, and then at the Titans.
okay, the last
So
two.
it was Jacksonville,
Yeah.
Tennessee
Yeah,
yesterday,
yeah.
and Tennessee. Or no,
Well, Houston
Sorry.
too. Houston probably also has.
Yeah,
Houston plays Tennessee after they play us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Houston,
So that's 2. Wow.
Houston hosts the
has.
Browns, hosts the Titans, then at the Colts.
Yeah.
that could decide the division. That last one, Houston at Indy.
Other
Or a
wild,
wild card. I mean, it's
Other-
almost
or a
going to
wild
feel
card.
like a playoff game.
other wild card teams: Bengals at the Steelers, at the Chiefs, Browns at home. That's tough.
Ooh.
We gave you Buffalo's before. I'll give it again. Buffalo at the Chargers, hosting the Patriots, at the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you, who else? Indy. One more. Indy is at the Falcons, Raiders at home,
Win.
hosting the Texans.
Win. All 3 are winnable.
I mean,
You know what? That
Bengals have the
that
toughest
AFC
schedule
South,
of all those teams.
That AFC South is really close to what the AFC North is right now.
Yeah, but the AFC South still feels like trash to me.
It
does.
does. Why?
I
But I
don't-
mean, if you compare the teams
I
across
think
the board,
trash is too strong. Mediocrity is how I would describe
Fine,
it. Yeah.
fine. I mean,
Yeah.
Jacksonville just lost 3 straight because they played the AFC North.
Yeah, that's true.
That's credit. That's
yeah,
kind
you're
of
right.
Like
that shows.
the North feels like such a more like the
Yeah,
records
yeah.
maybe what the records are. The teams in the North are far better than the
Does
teams in
anybody
the
know
South.
what the
I
Browns
would-
have to do to clinch? If they win next week, is there clinching?
I doubt it.
Is there any
I
clinchable
doubt they
stuff?
clinch
No,
next
I don't
week.
think they can clinch. I'd like mathematically clinch. No.
I don't think
It
so.
would get them to 10. So the question is, would there still be 3 teams that can get to 11?
Or even 10, because there could be
Over
tiebreakers.
10,
mean,
but
if-
right now, don't they have the tiebreakers?
If they beat the Texans, maybe they do. We'll have to look into that because they'd hold the tiebreaker over the Colts.
That'll pop up once the Monday Night Football game is in the books.
Right.
Some of those things will pop up as to what you need to do. But I doubt they'll be able to clinch this week.
I mean, it's a big. I mean, so I guess we haven't talked about this. Like,
Yeah.
are any of these games? Are you guys looking at it as we have to win that? Or because right
the
now
Jets.
the Jets is the
Jets,
gotta
you
have it.
cannot lose. And you know
It's
what?
the
It's
gotta
almost
have it.
appropriate because last year, in the second game of the season with Flacco on their side, they derailed our season. They really
Well,
did.
yeah.
This year, it would be the second to last game of the season
Yeah.
with Joe Flacco on our side, and it can punch our ticket.
And the Jets are falling apart. They
They're
got
awful.
crushed
Yes.
by the Dolphins
Awful.
yesterday. Aaron Rodgers ain't coming back.
Not to this
you
mess.
know.
They've been officially eliminated.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to
I
come
would
back.
say you
That's
wanna
the
be-
gotta have it.
You want to be in a position in Week 18
where you don't have to beat the Bengals.
where you can
Yes,
you
I
can
agree
rest
with that.
guys.
Because you know
Or-
what? If
or-
it's a situation where the Bengals beat you and they go and you don't put me in that spot. Not
like
with
that.
Browning and
Or-
not in Cincinnati.
Right. Or the only other, if that game means something, you want it to mean something for the division. Unlikely because the Ravens seem like
Yeah.
they're not going to blow that.
Yeah.
But that's it. If you can't win the division, there's a decent chance the Browns
Let me
could
ask
be
you
locked
this.
into that 5
Because
seed.
I think we were going to talk about this anyhow, the
Yeah.
path to winning a division.
Yeah.
If the Browns win out
Yeah.
and the Ravens lose 2 of 3, wouldn't the Browns go?
I think when I was watching,
The
they had
first
they had to be
tiebreaker
3-1.
after
The Ravens hold the tiebreaker. We
Oh, they
figured
do?
this. Yeah, over the Browns.
it's common opponents.
I think
Is
it's
it the
common
conference
opponents.
record?
No, it
Even-
goes to
even-
conference. It goes to
not
division
conference.
record.
It's head-to-head, then division, then common opponents,
Yes.
then conference after that.
Okay, so if the Ravens were to lose the right to,
We'd have to look at it. The Ravens beat the Rams They lost to one
They
team
lost
that
to
the
the
Browns
Colts,
beat.
and we
They
beat
lost
the
to
Colts.
They lost to
That's
the
it.
Texans, didn't they?
They did lose to the Texans.
The Ravens lost to the
They
Texans.
lost to the Colts and the Texans.
So
Okay,
then,
so if
and the
we
Browns.
beat the Texans-
So those are the 3 losses then, right?
Yeah,
Well, maybe there is a little bit of a path.
The Ravens.
and I don't mean by path. I don't mean we have to win 3, they have to lose 3, because that's highly
No,
unlikely.
correction. The Ravens beat the Texans.
Okay,
I
they did.
thought the Ravens had the tiebreaker on common opponents, or they were going to have the tiebreaker on
Yeah.
common opponents.
But they play some common opponents.
They
and
have
if
some.
lose
They have
those
some
coming
still
forward,
to come. Yeah.
They have the Niners this week if they lose to the Niners.
Because they
Okay,
beat,
that
they
would
beat
be
the
another
Rams.
one
That
we
would
would
be a
have the
plus.
advantage
That
on.
would
They
be a
beat the
plus.
Rams and the Seahawks, and we lost to both of those.
Yes,
Right.
that
Bull,
was
can
it.
you figure that out on the fly?
I don't know.
Well,
Like,
G just said it. They
Yeah.
beat the Rams and the Seahawks. The Browns lost to both
So
the Rams
that's
and the
2.
Seahawks.
Yeah, but the Browns beat the Niners and
if
the
they
Colts.
lose to the Niners, and
Then it's a wash,
they lost
isn't
to
it?
the Colts.
Yeah.
Is there another common opponent that the
So,
Browns?
so they play the Niners, the Dolphins, and the Steelers. They last 3. I'm assuming they would have to lose to San Francisco and lose to Pittsburgh.
I think they got to lose all 3 of them.
What is the Ravens' division record right now?
They're 10-3 overall, and they're 3 losses.
They only lost 1 game in the division. No, they lost
No,
to the Steelers.
2. They lost to the Steelers
So-
and the Browns.
So they're 3-2 in the division.
And the Browns have 2
The Browns
losses
are 3
in
and
the
2 as
division.
well.
Yeah.
The Browns are 3-2. So if the Browns win out, they would finish 4-2 in their division. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
If the Ravens lose to the Niners and lose to the Steelers,
They would be 3-3 in the division.
they'd be 3-3 in the division.
and the Browns
and the-
could
and
go
the
on
Browns
that.
would have-
And then it wouldn't go to common opponent.
Right, because it would go to the second tiebreaker, which is division. Browns win out, they'd have 12 wins.
So Mason
The Ravens-
Rudolph is our new favorite player.
The Ravens have 11 wins now, right?
Yes.
11
Yes.
and 3.
They're 2 up.
So they got to go,
That's
what,
it.
1 and 2?
1-2.
But
we
it's
have
got
win
to
out.
be. You
They
have
gotta
to lose
to Pittsburgh.
But it's got to be to Pittsburgh.
One of the 2 losses has to be to Pittsburgh. Or if they lose all 3 and the Browns win all 3,
Sure.
then the
Yeah.
Browns just beat them outright.
It's unlikely, but there's a path.
There's
Yeah.
a path, especially because I'm expecting the Niners to beat the Ravens this week, personally.
I am too, and I'm also thinking, is that Miami Ravens game in Miami?
I don't think so. I think it's in Baltimore.
Lord, please let it be in Miami.
I know. If it's in Miami,
No, it's in Baltimore.
Put them on that
listen,
sideline
we
where
beat
it's
them in
22
Baltimore,
degrees
so
hotter.
did Indy. So, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, but the Browns.
Is Tyreek Hill going to be back?
I think so.
I mean, I would too. I'm
The
surprised he
Browns,
was out.
unlike the Dolphins, have beaten good teams. The Dolphins
Yes.
have not.
No, I know they haven't.
They have no quality wins, not one.
I know. It's stunning.
Wow.
Stunning.
They don't.
I mean, their win over Denver now looks a lot better
That's-
because when they
that's true.
beat Denver, Denver was trash heap. They put 70 on Denver, but
Right.
Denver has turned it around.
But Denver still-
Did you guys see
that's the best team they've
the
beaten.
sideline antics between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton?
Yeah.
Why was he yelling
I
at
missed
him like
it.
that?
He, first of all, he was upset because Wilson, there was a timeout that was on Russ that they had to use. So he was already hot. Then when they didn't convert, now his teapot's over. And
Oh, he was talking about something 3 plays earlier.
well, one play earlier.
Okay.
And then so I think that started it. But I think what flipped Sean was Russ's reaction to his first comment. You know how when you might not be that hot and you say something to someone and they overly react?
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, they overly react, and then all of a sudden, now your fuse is blown?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it looked like to me, but that wasn't a pretty look.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, he was going off, and I'm like, well, he was short. Like, I thought he was mad at him. Like, well, what happened? He didn't jump off sides or anything.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I think it was in the play before when they had to waste a timeout.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're up out of here.
All right, so we was going to move to a topic that actually we was going to move to a topic that we're not going to do for overtime. The topic is basically how ironic on a wet and windy day, the governor of Ohio and the commissioner of the NFL is at Cleveland Browns Stadium.
You think that was irony?
I'm just saying. The math is mathing to me. But we're going to get into some super chats, man. Before we get into that, a couple
Wait,
things.
the governor
that
of
we need to take care
Ohio
of.
was at the game?
Yeah,
Mike
Mike
DeWine.
DeWine.
Yeah,
was at the
we'll
game.
talk
He
about
didn't
this in
stay for the
overtime.
whole
We'll
game, I can
talk
tell you
about this in
that.
overtime. So before we get to super chats,
not?
real quick,
He
Bush
didn't stay for the whole game. I know that for a fact.
G. Bush is in tonight.
Well, that's even more likely.
G. Bush is in
that
tonight
why
with
he
the
was there.
barbershop. Catch the barbershop Mondays and Thursdays,
Yeah.
3 to 4 p.m. G, I'm pretty sure you got a fire show lined up.
Yep.
Who you got coming on, man? Any guests tonight?
Nope, it's just me.
Just you?
I didn't do a post-game show. So, like, I usually do a post-game show. I had to go to my wife's Christmas party. Shout out to our company.
Yeah.
So are you giving away some Kool-Aid Mafia purple Flacco hoodies, some rubber bands? What you doing?
Man, listen, man. Yesterday I dropped them. See, they didn't understand it. They say, G. Bush, I got the playoff purple coming. They're like, G. Bush, why are you putting purple? That's for the Ravens. G. Bush, that's for it's subliminal, guys. The Ravens took our colors and flipped them and won the Super Bowl. We took their quarterback and we flipped it. We got the purple hoodies for the playoffs coming. They don't even know it. If you want to get one of those, I'm giving you an opportunity to win. You get the code word of the day. I've already given away 5. If you want to get in line for that, watch today, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
All right, speaking of giveaways, man, we got to get to some of these super chats. And,
1 second, I just want to say something real quick. Well, number one, I know Mike DeWine wasn't at the whole game because he was at my son's show.
Shout out to him.
Was he really?
His grandson is in the show.
Oh, well, listen, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No. So maybe that's why he was in Cleveland.
Yeah,
I had a conspiracy theory why he was in Cleveland.
No.
All right, let's get to these super chats, man. Super chats brought to you
Hold
by
on 1
PCC
second,
Air
Earl. Let me
Force.
finish. Let me just finish something. Give me just a second.
Well, we got a lot of these. Okay, we got to
go
get
ahead.
to them, man.
Go ahead, Earl.
PCC Air Force, looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits. PCC Air Force is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Air Force in Eastlake, Mentor, Whitcliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 an hour and up. Plus, you get full benefit packages, paid time off, sign-up bonuses. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So we got a bunch of people in here that gifted some memberships. Phil Bowman gifted 5. Scott Woods gifted 5. We had
Nice,
King
guys.
Truly gift a membership. Actually, Phil Bowman gifted 10. I'm sorry. Then we had Michael Roberts. He gifted a membership. Wow. I gifted 5 yesterday on the post-game show.
Nice.
Just going to put this out here. So I've gifted like 20 in the last 3 days.
Wow.
And a lot of people was hitting me up, can I get a membership? How this works is you just put them out there, and YouTube randomly selects who gets the gifted memberships. I don't know. I'm feeling generous, Jay. I might do some more at the end of the week.
at
I'll
you,
talk to you
Santa
after
Claus.
the show, and maybe we can give some together. So let's get to some super chats real quick as we close out the show. Dave D said, forget the cardiac kids. They are the misfit toys of the NFL, and Santa Flacco swoops in and saves them.
I see an animated cartoon coming soon.
Yes.
Kenny Moss says, the last 3 games we've been penalized 24 times for 209 yards.
It's an issue.
While our opponents have been penalized 18 times for 104 yards. We got to clean up our game.
Well, one thing on that note, Miles, by the way, we left on air last week and we said that Miles didn't get fined.
Yeah.
Well, the league dished out their fines Friday and they all got fined. Andy Reid
Reid
got it, and Miles Garrett got
and
it,
Mahomes.
and Mahomes got it.
Yeah.
Interesting,
and the
though.
squeaky wheel did not get the grease
Because they
Miles-
held them all
in
game.
fact, I think what happened was the official said, "How you like me now?"
Yep, I think you're
And
exactly
so
right.
they penalized him for opening his mouth. And again, I'm telling you, I saw 5 or 6 instances with my
7.
own eyes where he was held. And the refs now have glued their flags to their pocket when it comes to calling holding.
I always think
On
it
Myles
evens
Garrett.
itself out eventually. By the way, did you see Kadarius Toneyman, another stupid play led to an
Yes.
interception?
Oh, my
And
God.
Mahomes was pissed.
Yes.
And Tony, by the way, I can't believe he's still on the roster.
Yeah.
I really can't. And not just because of the idiot plays he's made this year. Why are you keeping him? His
not
production's
very good.
horrible. He drops one pass after another. And he spouted off again about trying to say that the ref was wrong for making the call.
Oh, my God.
Like, this is black and white. You were off sides. It's not debatable.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
So
enough's enough.
Yeah, but to your point originally, the penalties are killing this team. I'm surprised it hasn't hurt them more, but they're
Up front.
coming at bad times. On 1st down and 10, don't put yourself behind the sticks because you're already one-dimensional.
Yeah.
How about if you were in a coma and you woke up and all I told you about the Browns was penalties, injuries, and turnovers.
Yeah.
Penalties, injuries, and turnovers. And I gave you all the information on that, and I said, guess their record.
Yeah, they're not 9-5.
You would have said 3 and
Yeah, they're not
11
9-5.
or whatever.
They
it
have a
is.
lot of earmarks of a bad team.
Yep.
But again,
Crazy.
they're overcoming every hurdle.
It's crazy.
The football gods are I have an image in my head of the football god standing up there with hurdles. Take this player out, player out, penalty, interception. Everything's going against them. And here Kevin Stefanski is as the firefighter just
Finding a way.
dousing the house,
Yep.
putting the fire out.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Our Mac Dog says the Dog Pound Browns fans are providing home field advantage, calling
Big
them
time.
Believeland, Cardio Kids, or Next Man Up. These players play hard for each other. Then we got Bestie Gardner says, need a throwback jersey number game. Flacco would be 17, Sipe. The Joker would be 82, Newsom. Cooper would be 33, Rucker. And Hopkins would be 12, Cockcroft. Cardiac
Don
Kids
Cockcroft.
2023.
Yeah, I like that. That'd be fun.
Then
Especially
we got
when they wear the brown and orange. Just takes me back to 1979.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Dan Caruso says, pay the man is $75,000. Flacco.
Hell yeah. That's can you imagine Jimmy writing that check with a huge smile?
Yeah.
75,000
$75,000.
paid to the order of
Yep.
Joe Cool.
He paid him in his nightstand money. That's what's in Jimmy's sock drawer, bro.
Yeah. D, run through the sofa, see if you can get $75K real quick. Send it over to Joe.
I found a bundle over here. Just let him have 100.
He zelled it to him.
The son-in-law.
I wonder do the Haslam
Wait,
use?
what did you
they
I said,
use-
let the son-in-law go look for it.
Did the Haslams wire money or do they Cash App? Do they
Venmo.
Venmo? You're right. Here's Venmo.
No, there's a special thing like Venmo that's just for super rich people. They have their own thing.
I think they do. It's called tax breaks.
Or it's called breaking the law. I don't know. There's a lot of allegations being thrown around.
That's why they don't like y'all. That's why we don't get no players. I'm sorry. I was just joking.
Well, maybe that comment was made because we don't get no players. The old bait and switch. Were you here last week? We did the whole show saying, yeah, guess who we're going to have on the show today?
Got you.
No, I missed that one.
Yeah.
No.
More.
No. You don't get no player.
Moving forward.
No player for you.
Oh, but I was actually in the locker room. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You heard that.
Go ahead, Earl.
Dank the
wasn't an
Nasty
accident.
Ass Master
Dank
says,
nasty ass master.
Oh, he's our favorite.
check. I don't know who made this take, but he says, I hereby officially nominate the Brown season is over if Deshaun Watson gets hurt for the 2023 UCSS Worst Take of the Year award. Who made that take?
I think the whole city.
Everybody.
Well, I do
it's
remember
usually how it
saying-
goes.
I remember
The world.
Yeah, I do remember there were comments made that, you know, if he was out, the season's over.
Yeah.
It's definitely been way less of a deal than anybody could have anticipated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Including Dank
Now, I
Nasty
do
Ass
remember
Master.
we had a big argument where after they signed Flacco and before he hit the football field, we reassessed the team's Super Bowl chances.
Yeah.
And I gave them a 15% chance, and I was almost set on
Hey,
fire.
if you want to put it on me, I'll wear it. I didn't think Flacco should play. I said, like, if Joe plays, then something went terribly wrong.
Well, we
Yeah,
all said
it did.
DTR should keep playing.
Yeah.
And obviously that wasn't.
No!
Well,
I
once he got hurt,
I jumped off the roof and said, no, under no circumstances, we can't be right around with no rookie quarterback. I like DTR, but I needed a veteran. I was mad that they didn't get him at the trade deadline. I was hot then. I'm like, no, you going to let the trade
Well, we
deadline
wanted
pass?
Brissett.
well, you could have got him at week 3 or 4 when
Yeah.
Deshaun first suffered the injury. We're like, well, let's get him.
Water under the bridge.
Water
Jacoby
under the
Brissett, by the way, played yesterday in garbage time through 2 touchdowns.
Did he really?
I saw him on
Sam
the
Howell
field.
got benched.
I saw him on the field.
Yeah.
Only 13 games too late. I was surprised when they made that decision. When they went and got Brissett, I didn't think it was. I thought let him
Yeah.
play for a year, let Howell watch.
Nope.
I thought one of y'all was definitely going to come in here and say, well, if the Browns would have just had Baker this year, would they went to the playoffs?
Well, I remember disagreeing with all of y'all. I said as long as Donovan Mitchell can play quarterback, the Browns are still going to be fine. So Cavs ain't doing that anyway. So Peter R. says, once Coop scored, that stadium was roaring. Fans have really showed up this year. Will Cleveland finally finish ahead of Pittsburgh this season?
Yes.
Yes. It was a really good environment, that stadium. But it was weird. I mean, I guess it was probably the weather. I got there early yesterday, but the Muni lot was like empty when
Well,
I
this
drove
is the
by.
last 2 home games. The Muni lot has been relatively.
And ticket
sparsely
prices have
attended.
been way down.
Yeah, and I don't.
We need a dome. Everybody says, oh, it's tough. You get a dome.
They're holding their breath.
sack up. You live in Cleveland.
I'm going to tell you what, a lot of people is holding their breath.
Yeah.
They're just
waiting for the other shoe.
I cannot
By the way, who are
believe
you
this.
rooting for? Bengals, Steelers this week.
I want the Bengals to win. I want us to end the Bengals season in Week 18.
I'm not really trying to. I mean, I play the Bengals. I don't want that to be a must-win. I need the Bengals
I do.
to get. Actually,
I'm
the
okay
best
with it.
the best thing that would happen is if
A
not.
loss would eliminate the Steelers. They're one loss from elimination. I think they have to.
But
be.
I'm not worried about playing them.
I'm not either, and they don't pose a threat to
And
us.
they don't-
but,
and they
But
don't
they
close-
wouldn't play the Browns because they're going to be the 7th seed if they get in. The odds they play
But
the Browns in the
I need
playoffs.
some of these upper seeds to lose. So if the Bengals get in, right, the Bengals, I think, have a puncher's chance at upsetting somebody. The Steelers don't.
You're right.
So I would like to. I want the Bengals
You guys
to
are awfully disparaging of Mason Rudolph.
You can't even get it out with a
I
straight
couldn't even
face.
get it out. I was going to say, don't dismiss Mason
He
Rudolph.
tried so hard to keep the straight
I
face.
couldn't
He
even
do
keep
it.
a straight face.
I'll throw a grenade real quick. If I'm the Steelers and they finish under 500, I'm firing Mike Tomlin.
That's a grenade.
It's enough. How many years do you live off the Super Bowl?
How many years?
He hasn't won a playoff game in almost a decade, right?
Yeah.
You can probably trade him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's
go
a hot
ahead, Earl.
take. That's a hot take. Donnie Stewart, how important do you think the last game of the season will be against Cincinnati? I think we've talked about that a lot. Exhale says, my wife has been a Browns fan since we began dating 4 years ago. Says she wasn't shocked about the comeback because win-lose, it's a heart attack every week.
That's true.
We got
Isn't that way?
Michael Ribovich. I hope I got that last name right. He says cardiac flat kids.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
My 84-year-old mother FaceTimed me right after the game.
Wow.
And she said, I just want to make sure you're okay. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'm okay. Why?
That's funny.
She goes, I'm not.
Gotcha.
I mean, she said, this takes me back to being in our family room in our old home in Sandusky at Westchester Estates. There was a home we grew up in, when we would all sit around in the family room and watch the Cardiac Kids.
Yep.
I said, Mom, that's well said.
That's cool. That's really
yeah.
cool.
And she said, for that one moment, your father was alive again.
Yep.
And we were all, as a family, in the same room, high-fiving and crying together.
Yep.
My mom's a huge fan, but she was like, I'm glad you're okay because I'm not. It was 10 minutes after the game. She was like, my heart is still pounding in my chest.
My wife won't watch. She can't watch it no more. She knew nothing about football when she got here. All basketball in the Philippines. She can't watch it. She's like, it's too nerve-wracking. Every play counts. And I have to go back and watch the rewind of it. Like, she just watches it after we're done, but she's just too nervous.
I can imagine how you watch. It's probably the same way you and I watch. Like, I'm sure when you watch the Bengals, the voice is elevated, okay? I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure yours is too.
Awesome.
When she first got that view of you, was she taken aback?
She was like, what the heck? Why? The first time
Why
she
do you
saw
care
it,
so
why do
much?
you guys are crazy? But she started going to the media lot and like taking videos.
she saw it.
to put on her, and then
Yeah.
so she would just wander around and look, and she's like, "You people are crazy." She was like, "Americans,
It's
Americans
crazy. We are
are
crazy,
crazy."
yeah.
We really are.
We forgot to mention this. Did you guys see the Njoku quote on the Hail Mary in the end zone? So what was
No.
his reaction? He said, I damn near shit myself, dog.
I did see that. That was good.
The video, go find the video.
That was good. I
I
had
think
to check my
Cam
pants.
Justice has
You could
the video.
attribute that to about 1.4 million
Yeah,
Clevelanders.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Because
Yeah.
we were all, we all would have said the same thing, and you're right, you touched on it. We all would have said, well, of course that's how this ends.
Yeah.
But this year, the endings have
Does
been
it?
different. That's why I think number 32 is up there writing some scripts, man.
Yeah.
Bart Z says, Jason, how do us fans of UCSS get our hands on one of those good old right-handed UCSS coffee mugs?
My wife made them.
1750.
She should sell them on G. Bush's website.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Take
see if we
orders.
can figure something out.
Yeah.
Just ship them out, man.
I
We'll
think
see if we
if
can
we
figure
get
it out.
enough requests.
She literally made that in like 15 minutes this morning.
Yeah, shout out
she
to her.
personalize for everybody?
Oh,
too?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let's enterprise this thing then. If you'd like a coffee mug, reach out to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we'll start taking orders. And how many would it be where it'd have to be worth her while?
I'm not an agent for the coffee mug.
Because there's two critical questions. What's the price point?
I'm not an agent for the coffee
Look
mug.
like
You don't know.
She's
Jason,
like,
I am
just
determined.
here so
I've
we can
been
find-
married long enough to know I'm not answering that question.
You got any more, Earl?
Yeah, got a couple more. Michael says, imagine if you guys held on to Baker Mayfield. Our
Oh,
own
screw
Daryl
we just threw that out there.
Our own
He was
Daryl
good
says
yesterday,
UCSS
though.
was
Jeez.
lit today. Great show, guys. Kool-Aid Mafia in the building. Stefanski and Flacco, a.k.a. Property Brothers, on to Houston.
Property Brothers.
funny.
Wait a minute, that's the mic drop. That is it.
Yeah, that's.
I wish it was, but
That's
we got somebody
crazy.
that spent $150, so I got to get
Holy.
theirs in, too.
Yeah,
That's
get
crazy.
that in.
Shout out to
Property Brothers.
Rebel Vets, man, spent $150 on Super Chats.
Damn.
First one says, Flacco is the second QB in NFL history to roll playoff wins behind Brady. Then his next one says, Raven fan here. Check out the NFL record for road playoff wins. He said it again.
Yeah.
Flacco had the record for most in the NFL history until Brady came out of retirement with the Bucks.
Maybe Flacco can pass Brady again.
Wacko for Flacco, man. We got 2 minutes. Final thoughts.
By the way, technically, Brady did not come out of retirement to go to Tampa Bay. He wasn't
Yeah,
retired.
he just went from one to the other.
I knew
Oh,
he
Yeah,
did.
no.
but he did come back out of retirement for the second
Yeah.
time.
The second
Yeah,
one he
yeah,
did, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Who we got to give credit where credit is due. Who calls Flacco and Stefanski the Property Brothers? Is that you? Who was that? Was that you, Earl?
That was Daryl.
That was Daryl?
Oh my God,
That was a
that
good
is
one.
just. Now we need a graphic of those guys.
Yeah.
Who wore the shadow better? The Property Brothers on one side of the screen,
Yeah.
and then the Browns Property Brothers on the other side.
He's
That's
right.
good.
Anthony,
you want
get on
that
the
for
graphic.
tomorrow?
He's righty.
Let's work on that.
All right, he's
graphic.
on it.
Guys, I
He
want to
yells
do it.
from his hole.
I got
I'm on it.
I got to plug for the first time ever my podcast, The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. I'll be going live tomorrow from 5 to 6 p.m.
Wow.
Live well, not till 6 p.m. 5
Wait, they're
till
not all live?
No, it's a recorded podcast.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know you were doing live, didn't
Listen,
do
we
live.
rudely cut you off.
Yeah.
Because we had business to take care of. When you were,
Yeah.
how did your son's show go? And I mean, there was kind of. I mean,
It went
the governor
great.
was in it.
The governor came. He did a great job. The whole cast did great. They had a farewell party yesterday. Some of the kids were crying because
Wow, the
they were
cast
so
parties
sad
can
that
be
it was
very
over.
emotional. Yeah.
And it was great. He did a great job. I'm very proud of him, and he was magnificent. And every show was sold out. 100 tickets for all 7 shows.
That's
so
awesome. That's awesome.
he did a great job.
Congratulations.
Very proud of him.
To Baby Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Probably going to be on a big screen one day.
I
wouldn't-
hope so.
I wouldn't count that
We'll
kid
see.
out on any of it.
AJ, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? I brought my son in today.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah,
first
he's
show.
He's got a deeper voice than Jason.
Let me tell you something.
And a lot more hair.
To get 2 thumbs up from a teenage son,
That's right.
it's like 100 thumbs up.
That's right.